Good evening. It is 6:30 on Wednesday, August 26th, and I'm calling the meeting of the Chelmsford Planning Board to order. My name is Chris LaValle, and I'm the chair of the board. Tonight, we will be following the posted agenda. The meeting tonight is both in person and on Zoom. If Zoom fails at any point in the meeting, we will continue in person. This meeting is being televised live and recorded via Chelmsford Telemedia and will be available on their website and on YouTube. We do have almost everyone present tonight. We do expect Deirdre to be on Zoom tonight, but I don't believe she's on yet. All right, first item on the agenda is public input. Public input shall be limited to the statements from the public relating to any issues within our jurisdiction that are not currently subject of a pending public hearing before us. Public comment on any public hearings pending before us shall only be heard during those public hearings.
Deirdre's on.
Okay, Deirdre is on. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak during public input? There being none, we will move on. First item is administrative review for 24 Maple Road, SEAD applicability.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the Planning Board. My name is Ann Soboleski. I'm here on behalf of the property owner, 24 Maple LLC. We've submitted an application for COID applicability for a complete redevelopment of this piece of property. I think the board is familiar with the property from the previous discussions during the CBLT rezoning. So my client is affiliated with Lockheed Martin, the property owner at 16 Maple, and what we are proposing to do is to demolish the existing Maxwell's building and greenhouse, replace it with a new two-story office and ultralight manufacturing building, as well as an associated parking area, a complete stormwater management system, a redesigned driveway, extensive landscaping, and a pocket park that we're proposing as a community amenity next to the rail trail. At the beginning, before we even developed, a comprehensive set of plans, we had a meeting with the abutters, and we took into consideration their concerns about the development of the site and adjusted some of the proposed conditions. In particular, and I just want to make sure that I stress this, one of the things that the abutters were concerned about was heavy truck traffic. And so the building that we are proposing does not include or involve any heavy truck traffic whatsoever. There will be no designated loading dock for large trucks. There is only going to be a designated loading area, pull-off area next to the entrance for your smaller UPS truck, WB Mason size truck, FedEx truck. So unlike some of the other proposals that may have been made for this piece of property, none of that kind of large truck traffic is involved here. It's not what we're proposing. They also had comments about the architecture of the building, and so we took those comments into consideration. They wanted it to have a more barn-like appearance, and we can get in a little bit more detail if you determine that COID is applicable as to how our architect took those considerations and manipulated the way the building looks to try and make it look a little bit more barn-like. So what we've got here is we've got, as I said, a two-story office and ultralight manufacturing building. The driveway design has been reviewed with members of the fire department for public safety already to ensure that we were improving the conditions. If you think about the existing driveway at Maxwell's, there really is no curb cut. It just is kind of an open flow into that parking area. We are proposing to site the parking lot behind the building. The current Maxwell site has the parking lot, which is degraded and in terrible condition actually in front of that building. So this complies with the intention for parking areas to be set back from the road. We're also increasing the landscaping significantly in front of the building. We will need a COID special permit if it's determined that this is applicable, but only because of the setbacks for landscaping in the parking lot and the setback to the rail trail. But To address that situation, we're going to propose full stockade fencing and very, very dense landscaping, as well as we'll have a lighting plan that shows there will be no light trespass from that parking lot off the property onto the neighbors. So they won't be able to see the parking lot visually because of the fencing and the landscaping, and they won't be able to see any light from the parking lot because there won't be any light trespass. And, you know, if you think about the existing Maxwell site, I mean, that building was built in 1957. It's a metal frame building with a greenhouse. It's currently only assessed for the building, I believe, at $400 and something thousand. And the land is assessed, I think, at $263,000. So this project is basically, although we don't have 100% estimates of construction, this would be a $5 million construction project to turn this into a building that will, A, increase the tax revenue for the town by being a much better, more expensive building to tax at the commercial tax rate, and also will provide jobs and provide public amenities in the form of the pocket park. And we request a finding that it is applicable for a COID submission.
Okay, thank you. We'll go around the board. Mike, any comments, questions?
Not at this point. It looks quite reasonable to me. I mean, I don't see any issues or problems.
Okay. Joel?
I have none.
John?
No questions at this time.
Anita?
No questions. I'm glad that you guys went ahead and
Yeah.
proactively spoke to the neighbors. And I do like the design. I like the windows and the pitched.
Does look like
Yeah.
it belongs on a farm.
Yeah, I mean, as much as a
I guess.
office building goes, I think
Like a
it,
future farm.
Yes,
And-
I
but
appreciate that.
And if I could just say, I was supposed to say this before from the architect. So they don't have all of the plants in these renderings in order to make this landscaping actually look like what the landscaping is proposed. So just FYI, there is more landscaping on the landscape plan for the project than you can see in the elevation.
Okay.
Sorry.
Marcy?
no questions at this time.
Sarita?
No, I just want to say I really enjoyed looking at this packet and seeing the pictures. I thought it was done really well, so thank you.
Thanks.
Deirdre?
I also have no problem, no issues at the moment, and also appreciate both their attempt to meet the neighbors' concerns and the effort taken to meet with the neighbors and learn their concerns.
I just have a couple questions out of curiosity. I remember there being some concern a while ago and some attempts to try and connect this lot to the other lot via path or bridge or something. Is that not happening?
Yeah, we cannot connect it because of the rail trail, but we're going to propose a sidewalk from the rail trail that goes up towards the driveway and across the driveway. And we've also got a sidewalk along the rail trail in the back so people could go that way as well. But we can't actually do anything over the rail trail.
And then I noticed that there's a battery storage pad there.
Yes, that is a proposed battery storage pad. The building has been designed to allow for the installation of solar panels in the future. We're not proposing to install those right now.
Okay.
But I believe the sustainability checklist suggests that we should indicate where we would put a battery storage pad if we were to put solar panels on the building.
Okay.
But the building is going to be entirely electric with heat pumps, and we've gone through the sustainability checklist to make sure we were ticking off those particular boxes.
Okay, thank you. And then when you do come back for the project, it would be also good to see some estimates as to how many trees might be removed as well.
Okay.
And I would just echo others' comments about how nice this looks and really appreciate the effort the company has put into this.
Thank you.
I do have one other question.
Yeah.
So and this is kind of half a question to Evan too. So we're considering this as the B, the CIRP, the Commercial Industrial Redevelopment? Okay. Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, so
like-
I will entertain a motion.
I move that we grant a determination of COID applicability for this project.
For, I would just recommend we specify which one for the record, the B.
Yes, 24 Maple Road.
No, for the commercial industrial redevelopment
Okay, yes,
project.
let's, yeah, I think that makes sense.
All right, motion by Mike,
Ended.
second by Marcy, and we'll need to do a roll call. Deirdre?
Aye.
Marcy?
Aye.
Anita?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Joel?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye,
And I am an aye. It is
Excellent.
unanimous. Thank you very much.
because COID, we've ever done.
Okay, next on the agenda is, we don't have any new public hearings. We have 9 Lady Slipper Lane, which has been continued. And I believe that there is a request for continuation again.
Do we have a date?
Evan, I know that there was some description as to why they're looking for continuation at the Concom meeting. Do you want to give an update on that?
Yeah, David and I met with the attorney and engineer this past Monday. They presented their new alternative plan. That plan shows the extension of Lady Slipper. Lady Slipper is a dead-end cul-de-sac. As you may recall, the property owner owns one of the houses on the cul-de-sac. So the plan that you will ultimately see will have the, rather than coming in from, I forget the name of the road.
Cantor.
What was it?
Cantor.
Cantor, right, rather than coming in through Cantor, would propose an extension of Lady Slipper to provide frontage for the 2 additional new lots. So that was a concept plan. They need to fully engineer it and then obviously resubmit it. We indicated to them, I think their continuance is for the 9th. Was it for the 9th?
Yep.
So we had indicated to them that that's fine as long as we get it, the Friday prior to post it on the agenda. That would allow them to present it to the board and to, and anyone in the public for consideration. That would not allow for adequate time for the departments to do a technical review. So that, those reviews would likely be available for the September 23rd agenda.
Okay, so it essentially, on that first September meeting, just be a presentation and quick questions?
Yeah, if they choose to
Yeah.
move forward on the 9th.
Okay,
Again, it still requires the engineer to fully detail the plans.
okay. So,
And Evan, excuse me, will this be a resubmission of a new plan, or are they just, is it?
It
Not-
doesn't, yeah, it doesn't require a new submission. Although we'll check the abutters list. If the abutters change, then we'll have to do we may have to do a new legal ad. But we'll check on that.
I would-
And then, are we running into any time by which they need to have come back to us that they're in danger of
No,
overpassing?
no, the attorney's been simultaneously granting extensions for the board to act.
Okay.
I would think that the abutters list probably would change if they're coming in from the other side.
Let me check to see what properties on Lady Slipper were captured. The other option is, even if legally the abutters list doesn't change, we can provide courtesy notification
Okay.
to the
Is it-
property owners on Lady Slipper.
Does it include the current residents? Because my understanding was they were going to sell that. Right. In other words, the one that's 9 Lady Slipper Lane, they were actually gonna build, apart from that. What they wanted was there, and then they were gonna sell the original building, but are they using that?
They're,
Mike,
they're,
Mike? Your phone was ringing.
I know, it's going off and I'm
They're-
hearing it in my ears. I don't know
they're
how much
using,
it broadcasts.
land between, two houses on the cul-de-sac of Lady Slipper. I think one is owned by the applicant and the other, I think, is a family relative of some sort.
Right. Well, I was thinking if they're not doing anything with their structure, then I would think the abutters would be the same.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking as
We
well.
may drop off some abutters on the other end, perhaps.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, we'll see.
yeah, let me check that.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, so at this point, I will take a motion to continue.
Yeah, I would move that we continue this. What was the date? The 9th?
September 9th.
Yeah. That we move 9 Lady Slipper to September 9th.
Motion by Mike,
Seconded.
second by Marcy. Mike,
Aye.
Joel,
aye.
John,
Aye.
Anita,
Aye.
Marcy,
Aye.
and Deirdre.
Aye.
And I am an aye, so unanimous to continue. All right, at this point, we will move into the second session of the public hearing for the zoning bylaws, for the articles. What I will do this time, I'm not going to go through all of the presentations. What I will do is I will review and ask Evan to go to any slides that have changed and review the changes and updates, and then open it up for any discussion on the board, and then open it up for any public comment, which I will tonight limit again to 4 minutes per person. And then if we have people wanting to speak again, I will ask people to wait until everyone else has gone. So first item on this
A
list,
quick question.
Yeah.
Did we post the start of this?
6:30.
We posted the whole thing at 6:30, not? Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yep.
Because I see a distinct lack of public.
For another 12 minutes, perhaps.
All right, so the first item is childcare zoning. There were no changes on this since the first hearing. There were some concerns about that if we did this, the planning board would not have any purview over it. We would still, it would still trigger site plan review, but based on our past experiences with Dover, Dover article, or Dover amendment uses, protected uses, we don't have much leeway. So, any questions or comments on this one? Okay.
I mean, like, do we, like, I guess I don't necessarily, do we have to strike this out now? Like,
It'll cause confusion if we don't.
confusion with who?
If we do get a project coming before us and abutters look at the zoning table, they may get a little confused as to what leverage we do have.
Okay, well, then I think you should state that
Second?
in the presentation or something, like,
I think that's the first time I've seen you write on paper.
I'm taking notes on all these slides so I can make
That's a
it a
good
little bit
idea.
easier.
That's a good idea.
I did that last time, too.
Just to add to this
I
one,
wasn't here.
if I recall, wasn't this a recent state zoning amendment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another 40.
So it would provide guidance and clarification to staff, particularly the zoning commissioner.
Okay.
there's another.
Actually, is this one a recent one?
I'm trying to remember.
It's not a recent one, but the
Wasn't it
Attorney
from-
General did.
Wasn't it from 2024? I think
Yeah,
there
I
was
think
a
so.
zoning, a state zoning act
Yeah, I think it was
change.
2024.
And they noted it
then-
in 25 or 20,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yep.
Come in.
All right, next is the site plan and special permit zoning articles. Evan, if you can go to slide 5. The only change on here is we had some wording in here after section A that said as of right. That was actually a copy and paste error that I had when I was putting these slides together for presentation. And it doesn't appear, those words don't appear in the current version, and they're not supposed to be in the second or the updated version. So town council noticed that and suggested we remove it. So that's the only update on here. Are there any questions or concerns on this one? Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on the site plan and special permit zoning articles? Okay, on to contractor yard. So there were some changes on this one since the last session. I updated on slides, let's go to slide 5 first. This is where one back. One more. Yeah. This is where I added in the general definition the special permit component for expansion as we discussed in the last meeting. And then on slides 10 through 12, these are updates to the gross weight rating, gross vehicle weight rating, based on some suggestions from the last session and some additional research. We did align them a lot more closely to the current weights for the different classes. The pictures are here for the presentation, but they're not appearing in the bylaws themselves.
So you ended up going with like the FMSCA and the DOT?
Yep.
Perfect.
Any questions or comments on these?
Yeah, I had some comments. After our discussion last time, I went back and looked again at this article in particular, and then also it was very helpful for me to look, based on the comments that were made, and I also went back and looked at which I thought was very instructive, is to look at the home occupation, what's allowed there, which is up to 2 vehicles with associated trailers for a maximum of 20,000 pounds, where any one vehicle cannot exceed 14,000 pounds. And then with special permit, you could increase the total vehicle weight to 28,000 pounds, which is essentially 2 14,000 pound, equivalent to like 2 14,000-pound vehicles. So that's what our current bylaw allows for home occupation. So this changing this.
Which is by right, unless you need to increase it,
It's
correct?
20,000 by right, and then 28,000 by special permit, yeah. But that this, currently, the indoor and outdoor contractor yard is only allowed in CB and CBLT by special permit, and then in IA and IS, and, I don't remember if it's IS. But that what this bylaw does is it actually expands flexibility for the kind of person that we were concerned about, or I think concern was expressed about, which was the small business owner who's growing his business, that we didn't want to place an unfair burden on that person in terms of the limits and then needing to get a special permit, because this This bylaw now sort of carves out that in-between space of the home occupation and then the more heavier use by this first category, the contractor service business, which is allowed in the commercial areas. So that extends a lot more opportunity for somebody who is wanting to expand beyond his home occupation limit. So I think that's a real advantage to this bylaw over what it was before. I think this also appropriately restricts the heavier stuff that we think is more impactful by limiting it to currently it's CBLT. I think that CB should be added also for special permit because CB light is supposed to be a lighter version of CB, so it only logically makes sense you'd include CB by special permit. So I think that's a change we want to make. And then the really heavy stuff, the most impactful stuff is only by special permit and industrial. So I think it really expands the range of opportunities that it offers to help these businesses. And I think in addition, that the permit wording, if you look at it, I think there may have been a concern, certainly I interpreted some concerns that a person would have to keep coming back for special permits. And I think that what the special permit language is that they only have to come back for a special permit if they exceed the constraints of their original special permit. But their original special permit, it may be something that we grant where we just, like if they are at 7 vehicles, and they come into us, it's not that we would just say, oh, you can have 7, if in fact the conditions are such that we would say, well, 10 would be acceptable. So there's latitude, I think, appropriately given to the planning board to make the kinds of decisions that allow flexibility for the applicant, but then also protect the interests of the abutters. So in general, I think that that this is a very good article. I think it does what it needs to do. I don't think it's onerous. I think there's detail, but that detail is necessary to implement the kinds of protections that we want and the flexibility that we want to provide. The only other thing I wanted to add was that in home occupation, it makes reference to trailers. And so I thought that we should also include wording in the article with regards to where it mentions vehicles to add including associated trailers as the home occupation states. With the exception of, I think, the heaviest one where there's a list of things, and I think there we would just add associated trailers as a comma separated in the list, would be another suggestion that I would make. And then also I think it can just be left out of the parking requirements. I think that basically, you know, that will resolve itself. I don't think we have to specifically address where you're going to put the trailers. I think that neither does the home occupation bylaw. It just assumes that you're going to take care of it like you're going to take care of your vehicle as far as keep it off the street and so forth and so on. So those are my inputs.
Quick question on that one, though. There are trailers and there are trailers.
Yes, there are.
And I've seen some interesting combinations of a fairly lightweight, maybe an F-150, with a very big trailer on the back. And how are we including, I mean, what's the difference between a huge truck and a small trailer and a small truck and a huge trailer?
Yeah, well, by the home occupation, it does
Yeah.
it by weight.
Right, it does the whole thing by weight.
The whole thing by weight. This doesn't specifically, at least what I'm suggesting, wouldn't specifically treat that, but I'm not sure that we would necessarily need to specifically treat that because, again,
Okay.
we're in commercial, we're in whatever. I can see for home, you would want to be sure about that sort of thing, but.
Okay, well,
Otherwise, it
I
seems
just bring it
reasonable.
up as
Yeah.
a possibility.
Yeah.
I'm
Wouldn't
not
you-
real concerned.
I don't understand the not seeing where the trailers would be parking in something like that. Because they're moving the heavy equipment. There definitely could potentially be a lot of them for this.
So we did include trailers
Where was that one? Is that one
in heavy equipment.
Yes.
So the construction equipment and the trailers used to transport the equipment.
Okay.
So that is included in the definition of heavy equipment.
Just made me think though of like the trailers when you said the really big ones. I mean, I've seen an F1, 250, whatever, doing the ones that carry all the vehicles on them.
Yeah.
Like, those are pretty big,
They're pretty big, that, or some of the
even the
very
ones-
large horse trailers.
right? That carry like
Yeah,
equipment to do lawns or whatever else.
So based upon what Chris said,
Transport such
I
equipment.
think the way this would be interpreted is that trailers under 10,000 pounds, and I think we're saying that includes that includes it loaded, I believe are unregulated.
Pretty much, yeah.
In quantity. I think that's what we're saying here.
So I could have like 10 lightweight trailers on the property, or 20.
I mean, we could do
don't know, I'm
a
just asking.
similar thing under the light equipment, is just include N trailers. And then that's included in the total number of equipment.
That would be most like the home occupation. I mean, the other thing to keep in mind is that moderate and heavy, moderate is by special permit in CB, LT, and hopefully CB, and that it is by right in IA and IS, but that heavy is by special permit only. So the things that are going to have trailers that we would be concerned about are things that are going to be reviewed by us in a special permit. So I think that in that sense, I mean, not for the moderate and IA, but again, it's like, well, IA, like, I think that's a little bit of a over concern. It's IA. I mean,
Back up to the light.
so,
So are people okay with me adding trailers in the list of light equipment? Okay.
what about moderate? The medium or whatever we call it.
Moderate, oh no,
Is it,
heavy has it.
what's the,
There is no moderate equipment.
It's heavy.
Yeah, we don't have
okay, I'm
moderate.
talking about then how do we treat vehicles? Because that's equipment,
You get,
and that's different than the vehicles, right?
yeah, but I
Right.
think you'd see the trailers more with the light-duty vehicles.
Yeah, my proposal was, if you back up a little bit more, is for the first one, is to add after light commercial vehicles and associated trailers, because that's what the way the home occupation wording is. And then for the moderate, it wasn't, well, I was a little confused about whether the 5 to 15 was referring to the light commercial vehicles or whether it was referring to the medium commercial vehicles and whether there was any limit on the medium commercial vehicles. But I would put it, if they're going to be combined, then I would add it after that, or I would add it after each one, after light commercial vehicles with associated trailers and medium commercial vehicles with associated trailers or something like that.
So the intent of that one, and I see how you're confused about the wording, the intent was any commercial vehicles. So the number 5 to 15 would be light commercial vehicles, any commercial, medium commercial vehicles.
Okay.
So
Well,
combination of vehicles adding up to no more than 15. Correct?
Yes, right?
Within those two categories.
then
Right.
then if that's the
But then-
case, it should say and.
But then, will the
Right.
trailer count as a vehicle?
No,
I'm a little confused about
No.
that.
no, it
No.
would not. So actually, it's 5 to 15 light commercial vehicles,
Comma.
any medium commercial vehicles, limited screened outdoor storage, etc. That was the intent of that
Okay,
sentence.
but it doesn't
So if you
limit,
had one medium commercial vehicle, that,
It would become a moderate.
okay,
okay,
okay.
okay. Got it.
Then I would just add, I would suggest adding with associated trailer after each of those.
Okay. All right. So let me review what I think the edits are.
I sort of feel like if you had 15 vehicles and 10 trailers, that's like, again, more than, it's like a difference of thing, maybe, more than a difference of scale. That's such a big thing, a big organization or business.
Yeah, but it's a moderate, so that means it's gonna be special permit in CBLT, and it's gonna be by right in IA, so.
Right.
Then it would come and you'd look at the parking and everything else, right?
Then we're gonna look at everything and make judgments based on that, as opposed to encoding it within the bylaw.
And the
Okay.
parking says that they need enough to take care of their entire
Vehicles.
fleet, so.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so let me just summarize what I think the changes are. I will, under light equipment, I will add trailers in that list of light equipment. I will add under each of the, in slide 7, number 2, I will include, actually, number 1 and number 2, including associated trailers for any of those vehicles. For sides.
Well, just, for number 1, it would just have to be for the light commercial
Yeah,
vehicles.
for light commercial
If you're
vehicles
saying
in number
no for
1.
anything else.
In slide 7, number 2, it would be associated trailers after each of those.
Of light and medium.
It would, Evan, it's the slide 7 under the definitions. Yep.
Yeah.
And then the next slide, I would add associated trailers in, with those vehicles.
Do we need to, though? Because it's in the, it's included in the equipment list, right?
Yep. Yep, you're
So I
right.
don't know that we would need to say it here.
Okay, so I wouldn't
Because
need
it's
it on slide
explicitly
8.
treated that there.
And then under the moderate definition, I would change the definition of moderate to 5 to 15 light commercial vehicles and at least 1 medium commercial vehicle, to make it clear.
How about would and any?
I could do that too.
Yeah.
but- And
Yeah,
any?
Yeah.
Okay.
Take out the comma after light commercial
Yep.
vehicles, yeah.
I guess I have an issue with it being yes in CA, CB, CB Light, CC, CD, CV. Just an automatic yes. And the reason being is the zoning is like this today. So say someone starts a business, 25 years pass. Like there's no paper, like if it has to go through the planning board, then there's a paper trail of what's been approved. But then the business, 25 years down the road, it expands. Like, what's the mechanism? And they've expanded to the point where they're in violation of the zoning bylaw. What's the process to get this
It would be a zoning
violation?
violation.
And what? And the building inspector says, stop, you have to cease business and engage in legal. And then you're like, oh, well, this was here, it was grandfathered.
So for anything new,
Not
let's
new.
assume this passes town meeting.
Yeah.
And then a month later, a new business approaches the building commissioner, zoning officer.
Mm-hmm.
The typical process is a letter of intent will be requested. That letter of intent will itemize the details of the business specific to the zoning bylaw. And then a plan documenting that it complies with the parking and so forth. If it complies, then a occupancy permit is issued. That letter of intent documents that at that time, it complied with the by right standards, meaning it didn't necessarily require coming to the planning board. As part of that process, I think what we need to do is probably notate on the occupancy permit that any exceedances will require further review and may require planning board approval.
Yeah, but then,
But beyond that, once you get into a documented exceedance, it's an administrative enforcement issue. So
Nightmare.
those property owners will have a couple of choices. they won't be asked to cease operations, they'll be asked to come into compliance, which will likely mean removal of some extra equipment that they brought on. In that meantime, I think they can apply to the planning board for the special permit provision. As soon as they apply for that special permit, then enforcement ceases, because they're making attempts to come into compliance. So it's not as cumbersome or as threatening as it sounds because of that special permit provision. And I was just gonna ask, I think I see it, but it doesn't really jump out at me as being a special permit provision. Where did you insert that?
Right, that whole paragraph is new. The whole paragraph is the insert.
Scope of the special permit shall require a new modified special permit.
Okay.
It goes it's essentially another paragraph from the one before it. I just couldn't fit it on one slide. So it looks like it's a separate section, but it's not.
Probably want to just put continue.
You may want to, instead of B definitions, you may want to just call that B special permit.
It actually wouldn't, there would be no header on there.
Yeah, I was
It
gonna
would
say.
be,
Okay,
think
okay,
that's
it's a
the
continuation, I
Yeah.
get you.
it's a
I get you.
continuation of the one above.
I get you. Okay, this is
Yeah.
part of definitions, okay.
Yeah, it just looks weird because of the slides.
Yeah,
So, like, when I look up what we had indoor contractor yard, we had no in CA, no in CC, no in CD, no in CV. And then we had PB for CBL light and yes in CB for indoor. Like, I'm not sure I want, like, a small contractor, like, contractor business in commercial, like where we have our commercial business. I don't think that's appropriate.
But Anita, keep in mind that those,
My fear, here's my fear, like, and I've seen this happen, right? Oh, you know, business gets left to someone's grandson, and, oh, it's been grandfathered, and never ran like that before, and all of a sudden, it has multiple trucks all over the place.
but that would be documented.
I just see creep here, and, you know, in the future. I just see, like, do we really want,
Well, I mean, compared to what it is right now, it's unregulated right now.
I
There
get-
isn't any control, any means of saying that's too much or that's too little.
I get that, but I guess I'm just a little concerned with it being yes for the small.
I mean,
like,
at the time I think you'd be worried about creep is now. And I think you would recognize this article helps remove some of that. right?
Yes, no, I do appreciate that, but I'm just questioning, especially like our, you know, commercial shopping areas, like whether or not I would really want it there, and anything that abuts residential.
But Anita, hold on. You're proposing special permit in CB for moderate,
Correct,
right?
correct.
Yeah, not by right.
But my thing is, okay, they start off small, but in 25 years, and I'm not sure I'm gonna still be here by then, you know, people
Yes, you are.
faces change.
You're not that old.
But Anita, how's that any different from any other special permit we do?
Because this is starting out, like, we're allowing it now automatically in something that
No, we're
abuts-
not.
Well, yes, because it says it starts off small, yes, in these areas.
Wait a minute, which one are you talking about?
I'm talking about the small,
Okay, so the,
Contractor service
Contract-
business.
okay.
yes. We're allowing it now by right in those areas. So now they're gonna start up by right, they're not gonna, you know, and yes, they're supposed to follow these rules. And 25 years pass, and they've grown, and no one really pays attention until one of the neighbors says, wow, that's a lot of trucks going by my house, right? And then it's like, well, it's, you know, well, we've been here, it was my grandfather's property, he started this, blah, 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 blah. Like, is that really what we, like,
I thought the intent was as if it grew beyond a certain point, they would have to go back because there's a
Right,
change
but-
of
Yeah,
business. But
Anita, they're
and I
only
think, like,
allowed
anything-
5 vehicles for that initial category. They're only allowed 5 vehicles.
Yeah,
But
I just
they're-
find,
But it's like anything, right? So if people are not doing what it was intended for them to do, it's either somebody else reports them or they go themselves to go fix it, right? So things happen, but
then they go in front for a special permit, and then you get you know, like, oh, well, I've been doing this for so long, and I just feel like that special permit
what would you rather
becomes
see?
harder
Like, what do you
say
want to see
no.
here?
I guess I would like to see under CB Light, CB, in the, which one's the commercial, like the shopping areas?
CC.
CC, those be no.
No or PB?
Or maybe CB, like,
Anita, these
CBs.
are all mainly indoor contractors, so plumbers,
right, but we don't.
they would all
like-
be, no, you'd have nowhere to put these commercial businesses.
But we had, like, in CC, we had indoor contractors yards with no before in the shopping area. Like, why would you, like, if,
Because indoor contractor yards, as defined now, is very different than that contractor business that is defined here.
I just, again, but I don't think it's appropriate to have as defined here in the Chelmsford Mall area, or in the Market Basket area, or in the center of town. Which one's center of town?
So Mary Maids wouldn't be appropriate for any of those locations?
Or like the HVAC,
Yeah.
like
You know, I
businesses.
I don't know.
think we
I
should-
just, like, do we want, like, retail commercial, like, keep it retail commercial? Like, I guess, like, I just think we were just a little bit too quick in just saying yes or, that's my concern.
I think if you were arguing for the moderate one, I would potentially agree with you, which is why we have special permit. But this initial one
Yeah.
is not what we currently have as indoor contractor yards.
Yeah, maybe go back to the definition of what the first
Yeah,
one is.
I think
and
that's
take a
one of
look
the
at
things
that.
about this article is it's extending the scope from the current definition of contractor yard to encompass those much lighter uses that currently are not regulated,
Right.
and to be able to provide a bridge between the home occupation and the contractor yard that exists right now. Right now, a person starts out, they can have up to 2 vehicles with their home, and then it's completely the Wild West until they get to a thing where it triggers an indoor-outdoor contractor yard.
I understand
So now
that,
it's
but, like,
5,
but I'm not
right?
sure I would want this in a, like, if we're, like, you know, if we have retail areas in town, I'm not sure I would want, like, contractor, like, this would be appropriate in the retail areas, where we're trying to encourage retail and shops and.
I mean,
I
I
think it's-
see all the time. I see plumbing, electrical, HVAC, small carpentry, they might have an office, things like that. We see that all over the state. That's everywhere. I see some of those things in like small shopping malls. You know, I think to prevent that, I mean, you're stopping businesses from being able to do their business in a lot of areas that we have. I don't think that's your intent.
No, but I'm not sure I would want to encourage that in the areas we have designated for shopping.
I
Like,
wouldn't mind an
like if
HVAC in the Kohl's Plaza or in the Market Basket Plaza, like places where, because they don't often have vehicles of their fleet, right? Which we talked about being in this category, what, 5, up to 5?
Yeah, only 5.
So it's 5 vehicles. It's not like they're having, once you go over that, you go into the moderate, which requires the planning board's approval, right? They're a small business, essentially.
That's a very different, feel for those areas. Then you're going on scope creep of a different
Anita,
feel.
they're,
that could-
they're in those areas right now. In Vinyl
Like Mary
Square, there's a
Maids.
maid cleaning service.
Yeah, the Mary Maids.
Mary Maids.
I think of over up the street from me, there's that, it's like an HVAC thing that's right in that little center, Vinyl Square.
We just also approved 91 Tingsboro.
I think I hear your concern because I know that you want to keep the town a certain way, but
I want to encourage certain businesses in certain areas.
And I understand
discourage
that.
Certain other businesses in other areas.
But
Like,
this
that's
is-
what I want to do, and I'm not sure.
so I think what you
I'm
need to
nervous
look at
about
is
this.
this is small, right? Five vehicles. 5. It's not that many. You have more probably than that in a home that has 2 kids of driving age with 2 adults and everything else, right? It's not like the other one's 15. 5 to 15 is going to require coming in front of the board. 5 is small.
Yeah, I guess I just have concerns that I find it, I like, even if they were to come back, how we would say no to, like, okay, well, you need to stop your business or rectify the situation.
I don't think that we should assume that the planning board's incapable of judging a situation like that. Nor do I think we should assume that a small business is gonna try to do something bad to us. I mean, assuming bad behavior is probably
But this would be
not
going to the building inspector, not the planning board,
Right.
right?
Well,
then-
and that's actually why
Yeah.
this bylaw is good, because it sets very specific criterion, right? So in other words, it gives the zoning enforcement officer the ability to be able to say, you are in this category, you are in this category, you need to get a
It
special
raise the
permit.
flag.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's exactly where you want it, right? So it's not like, this essentially gives us the ability to say that's appropriate or that's not appropriate. Otherwise, it's a pure judgment call, and then I would agree with you. It's like, well, how do you know that that's a good judgment versus a bad judgment, whatever. But when you have specific criteria, it really gives you a foundation for making your decisions that are defensible.
And as Evan mentioned before, the process is that when they get the occupancy permit, they can be told you have up to 5 vehicles. And then anything more, you have to come before the planning board for a special permit.
In any zone?
Yes.
That's why we have them.
As soon as you get to medium.
But even though it says no across, there's only PB.
CB light is
CB Light
PB.
says planning board.
Yeah, so only in that section they would come.
And IAY.
Oh.
And
Well,
Joel is proposing adding CB to
CB.
that too. Because that's where indoor contractors' yards are now.
yeah.
And so in those areas, they would be able to expand with special permit. In the other areas, they likely wouldn't unless there's some mitigation.
Well, no, it'd be, is it no, or is it likely wouldn't?
And which one?
If there's CC, CD, CD,
Those are no.
So the way that we've written the special permit section is that if the planning board determines that the expansion, so the special permit granted under this section may allow the business or facility to remain within its current classification and exist at its location, but still expand if the planning board deems it's okay for that area and there are mitigations in place.
So then it's, then why wouldn't we do CB across those areas? I mean, PB across those areas versus no? Okay, so you're doing that as an exception basis versus?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it wouldn't necessarily change the category on those exceptions. Evan, you looked like you wanted to
I
say
was just going to
something.
say, I think what Anita was saying, and I was thinking about it, like your high-value shopping center areas, Drum Hill, Market Basket. I agree with you that it's not really compatible, but if a property owner has a choice between renting to a very small local startup or a national retailer or a restaurant, those areas in particular are probably going to demand much higher rent than a small locally owned contractor type business can afford. On the other hand, if you go down Littleton Road, the plaza that is next to the Elks, it's next to the self-storage, that's like a perfect location.
But what zone is that?
that
not CC.
is, that's CB.
Right.
So for the small, the by right small, you know, that would be a moderate rent area. And it's very diverse. There's all kinds of businesses in there.
Yeah, again, that's,
I just don't think the market's gonna bear out having the by right contractor type uses in the high rent
Yeah.
shopping retail districts. I mean, even Drum Hill in the last 10 years has seen a lot of mom and pop locally owned get replaced by national retailers. The rents are just, they're astronomical in those areas.
And Anita, again, though, what would you propose differently than what we're doing right now? Like, what would you want to
So-
see?
like CC, which is our commercial, would be no. And then what other?
And CC
what's this-
commercial, like, that's the Drum Hill, things like that, you're,
Like the
thinking of?
the Market Basket,
Walmart is CC, I think.
yeah.
I think those are okay, in my opinion, just because, like, I know in Walmart in Drum Hill, there's the area that used to be the repair shop that's right behind, like, the gas station. That would be one that I definitely would consider a prime location for, like, a small van-style business.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I do agree with him, too, on the rents being higher and probably limits who would go in there.
Yeah,
'Cause why
it's
would you
more
have
of an
something that doesn't
economic
make-
solution rather than a regulatory solution. I just
Yeah.
would hate to exclude businesses. just
But
to let
CC is
the
one of them
economy
that you're
sort itself
thinking-
out.
If it was PB there versus no, that'd be different.
I think he's referring to the by right CC.
Yeah. Hey, I've got another
I'm just trying to see which ones. to
question
choose.
that just popped into my mind looking at this. The DPW facility on Alpha Road, is that P, zoned P?
Yep.
Well, we've said that you can't have any contractor yards in P. But in fact, the town's got several.
I think the town uses, I think, are classified as essential services.
Right, exactly. But I find it interesting because the only people that have P are the town. There's really not a whole lot of land out there that doesn't belong to the town that's labeled P. I don't think there's any. So maybe it's not wise for us to say no in P. I don't think it makes much difference one way or the other because the town can, as you point out, will define it as essential service and put it in anyway. But
I would just worry that if the town ever does sell properties and the zoning doesn't change quickly,
that is a good point. And what is the typical arrangement when the town sells a piece of land that's zoned P?
Stays
I don't think we ever have.
Yeah,
There's a lot of old zones around.
I'm not even.
the old dump, yeah.
I mean, all of any usable town-owned land that's Zone P is being actively used.
Well, except that little piece over on Monmouth.
Yeah. I mean, There's wetlands that are Zone P, but any developable land is already.
I just bring it up as an interesting point. I don't know that it changes life very
So-
much, but.
Going back to, like, Anita's thing, like, what do you guys think of
Okay.
PB?
So I think I'm getting hung up on the contract, like,
Contractor, what you conceive as a contractor
so I think
yard?
I'm getting hung up, like, if I look at this, if it's a service business, like any service business, like, then that would make sense.
Like an HVAC or a plumber.
Or no, just any
Maid.
service business.
Okay,
Like
yep.
you have I don't know.
and that's essentially what those are.
Yeah.
Like if
But-
it's like a retail service business or something to that fact.
But if
Okay.
any of these, if let's assume a cabinet maker wanted to open up on the CC district, if they're doing retail sales, if they have a retail showroom, they're likely going to be classified as retail sales, and they have an accessory component of we deliver, we install.
Like a granite countertop
Yeah,
place, which
yeah,
might have.
Yeah, so some of these uses, we don't have a lot of them in Chelmsford, but on Summer Street, I think there's a couple showroom-type places.
And that would be,
Those, that would be classified as retail
Like the
sales.
fireplace
but that
store.
would fall under contractor service business.
No,
No,
No.
retail sales. So maybe what you're envisioning is that some of these businesses would move into CC, but would be more a retail showroom and less
would
of
be
a,
Fine. But
yeah, that would currently be allowed, yeah.
But that's not what contractor service is.
no, it's typically more of the HVAC, plumber, Mary Maid type service businesses.
A lot of those van businesses.
Those are service-based.
Yeah.
Back to where you were, like, you don't like it?
Yeah. I mean, again, I'm just not a big fan of like.
But I think the point was made that those are pretty much market-driven. Where you don't want to see it is likely going to be market-driven anyway. But, like, if you look behind the gas station over there near Walmart, there are some areas, and those are, I believe, still CC. There are some smaller buildings that would make sense for those types of businesses.
Or on the other side of the coin, if that is an area that is not doing well business-wise, this would give flexibility to the person to allow that kind of a use to come in to help pay the rents as opposed to,
But then
you
you're
know,
changing that whole area, like, again, I get it.
I guess I don't
That's
understand how
where-
it's changing the area, though, so it's.
Because we're zoning it to allow it to change the
But
area, so
what-
over time it can change. And
How?
that's what we're saying as a planning board, that like, that would be acceptable in those areas. So that's where I have like the issue, right? Like, if I want these areas to be shopping, I want it to be retail front, then I'm not going to,
So you're
Yeah.
saying by having the van vehicles parking in a retail shopping area, it's blocking your parking? Like, I guess I'm
just
trying to
saying,
understand
like-
what the
like-
negative
I'm
is
just
to
saying, like,
it.
if that's, like, I think it's being contradictory of what like, what we want in an area, and then
Mm.
zoning it, and then, like, adding this to it. I like, again, if we want retail in that area, we should zone it retail and not have this, because if it's not, you just said this is not gonna be something that has like a storefront or an open, that wouldn't be classified as that.
I want to see stores full of businesses regardless of type. I don't want to see empty shopping plazas and things like that are moving out of box stores. So this gives flexibility for something to fill that space and not let it rot. I think that's good. So it's just personal.
That's, I don't disagree with that statement.
Yeah.
I do think that there's certain types of businesses I want in certain areas and other types in other areas, and you can drive that by your zoning. And by allowing this is just allowing something that I wouldn't have envisioned in that area.
Okay.
But keep in mind,
But I'm
Anita,
only one person, so,
looking at Drumhill Road, while you're right, the mall is in there, there are some back properties that are still in that CC zone. It's not just that front, it's not just those malls. There's a lot of properties around those malls that are still zoned CC.
Probably over by like the McDonald's and things like
and,
that.
and keep in mind, there's other uses allowed in CC, like
Taylor Rentals
No.
is-
animal clinic or
Rental
hospital,
place right behind Walmart. Left.
those are,
you
so
know,
that's
by
CB
permit.
behind Walmart.
Oh, by right, barn sale, yard sale, home occupations in CC, I don't understand that.
Like CC is the Walmart area. The CB is where the
Motel or
Starbucks
hotel,
and all that stuff is,
Which Starbucks?
kennel,
right?
I mean, there's already a number of uses in CC that are not
Seven, isn't it,
retail.
putting up there?
It would be odd to exclude this one and say, well, no, I can't allow,
But this one
You know,
doesn't
a
have any
service
shopping.
there.
Yeah, but like.
Well,
CC
neither
is
does a
shopping.
vet.
well, neither does a kennel. I mean,
I mean, okay.
I'd be more worried if moderate was
Trying to get in
yes,
there.
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, because
Yeah.
moderate's over 5. For me, like, size matters for that, right? I think under 5, like I said, that's equivalent to a home's worth of vehicles.
Moderate
would-
also includes outdoor.
Yeah,
Storage.
Right.
I mean, it would make more sense if CC was exclusively retail. Then that would make a whole lot more sense. But CC is not exclusively retail. in the uses that are allowed there.
If it was exclusive retail.
So now
I'd
we
probably
have to
agree with you.
explain why this use would be excluded, but a kennel would not be, for example. That doesn't make sense. If you want to change CC to restrict it to retail only, that could be a different article at some point, but
Are you okay with the other ones? Besides CC?
All right, we do need to
Go.
move on. So we will continue that discussion. So I think for the contractor yard, I will make those edits and bring it back to the board next meeting.
Yeah.
And we'll continue that discussion. All right.
We're taking turns having.
I was gonna say, no one
Not
else is
it.
allowed to flake out on us.
No, DJ, you're quiet.
I think John's gonna be next.
All right.
John's next, okay.
Next one, the PILO, payment in lieu of. Those, there were no changes since the first public hearing session. Any comments or questions on that one? Any comments or questions from the public on that one? Okay. Moving on to data center zoning. I've made a few changes here. I have moved the appendix content slides up to the front. Slide 5, I have updated the, scroll down a little bit. Yeah. I added the megawatts information for Lowell
Okay.
and added the Tingsboro battery storage information there. And then at the end, which you will not see any more slides, I removed the changes to attachments 2 and 3. As noted by town council, those are already mentioned in the footnotes, so we didn't need to add changes to attachments 2 and 3 for that area.
Evan, can you back up to the first slide? Back up to the first slide. Okay, scroll down, just hold on. Okay, next slide. I'm just wondering, do you think this slide is needed?
But we can adjust it for
Okay,
presentations
okay.
later.
Yeah, I was wondering about, that was the only thing I was wondering
Yep.
about, whether you just talked to some of that. Okay, thanks.
All right, any questions or comments from the board on that one? Okay. Any, yeah?
Accessory small data center, should you put something in there, like, in parentheses, like, also known as a server room? Or something that indicates, so,
You can say that.
Yeah, we can describe it.
I mean, accessory kind of,
but like,
That's
we know that, but I'm not
Yes,
sure,
we
like, when
used to
people
call it in the
first
old
hear
days.
this, are gonna understand that?
Yeah.
Well, it's something that could be said to make sure that they
Server room, that's
understand.
So during the present, you're saying the presentation for that
Yeah.
purpose, but not actually for what we're writing? Do you want it in something, like?
Yeah, no, I just, like, maybe like, an example, it would be,
Yeah, we can add that to the presentation.
like, add like, a server room in a office building, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's
There's no
what we're
one-
describing here.
There's no one more qualified to do that than Chris.
No, but like,
You.
I can just see people not listening
Yep. Okay,
at town meeting.
I can add that to the presentation. We won't add it to the
Different-
bylaw, but
but
we'll
like,
add
yeah,
it to
or
the
something, yeah.
presentation. Okay.
Sort of like what normal people think.
All right. Moving on to 210 Boston Road area. The only change here is slide 2, the what and why. I essentially updated this context to provide a little bit more clarity on why we are doing this area. It's less about zoning conflicts and more about economic opportunity, storefront plaza opportunity. Questions or comments on this one?
Nope.
Any members of the public wish to speak on this one? Okay, moving on. All right, the last one we have tonight is Riverneck Road. For this one, I made one correction on slide 8.
Yeah, we changed that property.
Next one, Evan.
Yeah, right there. That one?
Oh, yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Right in the middle, changed that. We had it listed as RB, changed it back to CBLT to correct that error.
That was the one that the woman came and spoke last week.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's here tonight.
I added the, I added that edit also to the list of properties in the other handout. And then that is it for changes. We also, Evan, Joel, and I developed an FAQ document, which we attached to the agenda as well, to highlight some of the questions that people have raised, why we're doing this in some areas, and other topics of concern. So those are the changes and updates. We have received a number of emails and comments from residents that are all attached to the agenda tonight. All right, with that, any questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, I have one comment that I'd like to submit an idea for the board's consideration. I have wondered, given our discussion so far, and to some degree the confusion that has come out about a number of things in our discussions. The one thing I'm wondering, do we want to consider splitting the current article into 2 articles for clarity, especially in discussions at town meeting? And the reason that I'm suggesting that is because I think we really have 2 main objectives with this one article, and I think there are different issues associated with each of those objectives. So what I would suggest is that we have one article, which is essentially to change IA to CBLT, largely on the Riverneck Road, to reduce the likelihood of increasing heavy vehicle traffic in residential portions of Riverneck Road, which I think has been one of our major concerns. And the issues that I think we've heard raised regarding that seem to focus on landowner concerns about resale value in changing from IA, and really not so much focus on what are the impacts to their current use. So that seems to be the focus on around that one. And I would suggest that we have a second article which is focused on changing, or the main objective, which is different from the first objective, which is the change IA to residential, to provide residential zoning to the streets with residential uses, so McFarland and Monmouth. And I think related to that is a secondary objective, which is the Apollo parcels going from IA to CBLT
Right.
to reduce the potential intensity of use to abutting residential uses. And the issues raised in those discussions and hearings so far around that seem to focus on change in residential dimensions and uses abutting residential. And so that's one thing that I'm going to suggest to the board, that we consider splitting this article into 2 articles so that we can discuss our discussion can focus more about the objective of that particular article and the issues associated with that particular article.
Could you show me on like the map how that would break it up?
It would just basically be McFarland, sorry, depending on which way you're looking at, this way or that way, but Monmouth, the Apollo parcels and McFarland.
Would
So
be
basically-
one zoning article, and then the rest of it be the second one.
Yeah,
So everything that we're looking to change from IA to CBLT would be one zoning article.
yeah.
So we would,
Not
wait a
clear.
minute.
Well,
I think that makes a lot of sense.
not
I do.
100%. So not all of them would be IA to CB. Some of them
Right.
would be on the other side of River Neck.
Yeah.
There's some,
So basically, it would be,
Yeah.
it would be Monmouth, the 2 Apollo parcels, and McFarland. That's one article.
Yep.
The other
looks like
article
just
would
that
be everything
area.
else.
3 Apollo parcels.
3 Apollo parcels, okay. And then the other article would be everything else, but that one is mainly associated with the River Neck Road corridor.
Yeah.
But should you separate it into further one more
Yeah.
with all the
There-
discussion?
You know,
Well,
I'm
well,
glad
I don't
you,
know,
I'm
like, it
glad
seems
you
like a lot of
thought
stuff's
that.
happening
I've been
with that
trying
other
to find a
section.
way to accomplish what you're talking about,
Looks
and you
like we
did it.
break that U up where go Monmouth to
Yeah.
McFarland and loop in Apollo, that's.
But I thought the issue was the COA overlay in residential.
Well, again, I mean, I think most of the discussion about that has focused on, that's, I think, related to the secondary objective of what happens to going to CBLT for the Apollo parcels. And that's really a secondary objective to the primary objective of our objective of changing IA to residential on those streets. Right? I mean, that's the only reason why we're considering the Apollo part is because we're changing those 2 streets to residential. And once we change those streets to residential, that creates a potential zoning conflict with IA. And so we want to modify that IA in order to accommodate now the residential uses that we're zoning it to, that we're, yeah.
So why don't we, the whole issue with the CBLT is that they can all build, they've got this concern about building residential. Why don't we just not do the overlay in that area?
Well, I mean, that could be another discussion. I mean, that was the discussion that Chris asked us to think about and talk about. I mean, I think that's a,
Like, if the state comes up
we
with
can, we
this-
can still have that
you know,
discussion, but
if the
that's.
state
yeah.
decides to pass its law, and it's like, why are we arguing about it? Like, if the state allows it, or, like,
But the other issue on those streets is also RB versus RC.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that that's a discussion worth having, but that's really secondary to the question of do we want to have 2 articles? Because when we discuss that article, then we can discuss how we think SAOD plays, you know, what I'm saying. So I think, what I'm saying is that that is not a question that should guide us in terms of deciding whether we should have 2 articles or not. I think we should first decide, do we want 2 articles? And then once we decide that, then we can talk about what the specific issues are associated with each of those articles.
so I would, can you go back to the top slides? Why don't we, instead of 2 articles, why don't we do it by section?
I was thinking like 3.
You're,
It would be 3, like we do the first section, go to the very first one. All right, we have this section. This shouldn't be an issue. This becomes 1 article. Right, then we go to the next slide.
how would you break this up?
But
5
by
minutes
these
on.
slides.
I
Well, see,
wouldn't.
I wouldn't, because again, think about what our main objective going into this was, to eliminate or to reduce the potential for heavy vehicle traffic on River Neck Road.
Yeah,
So that article has to have all of River Neck Road, okay? That's why all of that should hang together in one article, because that's the objective that we're trying to accomplish with that article. The other article addresses the residential, that's a different thing. We're not changing IA to residential because we're concerned about heavy vehicle traffic on River Neck Road. We're changing those because we think that is the use that's there now, and that even though the town zoned it industrial, we want the zoning to reflect the use as much as possible. And so that's why we're looking, I think that's why we were looking at zoning IA to residential, also because I think there was a desire expressed by people living in those areas that they wanted to be residential. And then once we do that, that then drives us to consider the Apollo, because we don't want to create a zoning conflict between what we have now zoned as residential next to IA. So we want to reduce the IA, and that's where the CBLT comes in.
So definitely, though, that other slide would be one article. That first one would be separate.
No, I think.
No, I don't think so, because it's,
Riverneck Road.
I'm still
It's-
confused by the split, I guess. I'm visual, so
Split
right
would
now
be
I'm
the-
losing a
The
bit.
split would be 300 Apollo as the
Yeah.
center,
Yeah.
anything south of Riverneck Road, so this square,
That would be
Yeah.
one.
that would be the second one.
And then the first one.
And the first one would be all of Riverneck Road.
Up above.
yeah.
Yeah, the first slide, this, and then the
Top of
third
that.
slide, opposite side of Route 3.
I like the idea of splitting more than keeping it together, because I'd love it to be more pieces, but I'm okay with two.
Yeah, I mean, I think we should split it according to what our objectives are with the article.
Yeah.
So it's clear what it is that we're trying to achieve.
No,
And
I get
then the
that, and
town can
other-
understand what are the issues relative to what it is we're trying to achieve with that article.
I get it, but in each of these areas, we've been splitting off in pieces and deciding where an endpoint is, so
Mhm.
it's fine.
That's only because of the slides. Because I
No, I mean,
couldn't fit
the
it all.
previous ones that we've been doing, like when we did by Vinyl Square and we did Kate's Corner, you guys picked a chunk and you had delimited edges. So I think this one's pretty big. I think
Yeah.
it makes sense to split it.
Yeah.
So how does the split occur? What happens?
So, my proposal for this, so I think how I'd like to proceed on this, and I'd like to get board members' thoughts and Evan's thoughts on this. I think we've gotten a ton of input and feedback from the public on these items. We'll continue to get more feedback tonight. I will give people a chance to speak. And then I think I would like to close the public hearing tonight. And then next meeting, finalize the details from the outstanding questions that we have on, I think, contractor yard. And then I would work on splitting this one into two, present it to the board next meeting, and then we would vote on all of the articles next meeting.
A question for you. Would splitting this article cause us troubles with the notification?
No,
So the notification we've got would be valid whether it's 1, 2, or 3 articles?
right.
Okay, I just wanted to verify that.
By the way, I like the FAQs. I'm reading them. You did a good job.
Thanks. And like,
It was done with human intelligence.
You didn't use AI from a data center?
and I think the input that we've received and get tonight would still apply to either
Okay.
or both of the articles, regardless on how we present them, and so.
Okay.
Okay? Does that sound good to everyone? Evan, does that sound good?
Yeah, that makes
Okay.
sense.
All right, so first, I would like to make sure that folks agree with the split. And I think I'm seeing everyone
Yes.
nodding.
Yeah.
Yep.
I even saw Deidre nodding.
All right, so I will work on the split. Given that, are there any comments, questions from the board before we open it up for public comment?
Well, you asked us to think about whether we wanted to consider excluding CBLT from the multifamily
Yep.
in Sayod. So I don't know if anybody has a comment on that. I mean, my comment
I'm
is,
assuming you do.
I do. And it's not going to be any different than what I said last time, which is that I don't think that we should do it as part of this article. I think that anything like that would need to be its own article in another town meeting. And it would be up to the board whether they want to sponsor that, but I would not.
That it's part of that we.
That it be excluded from Sayod, that CBLT be excluded from Sayod.
The proposal was to exclude,
Section 195-113.
So you want it, so you're proposing we exclude
no,
it?
he's not
No,
proposing
I
that.
am not that. I'm
It
not
was a
proposing that.
suggestion that came up in the last meeting. I asked the board to think about it. And if you have an opinion either way, I would like to hear it.
So I would say my initial thought would be no, because I think there's some properties that could benefit from an overlay and the flexibility of it, of potential housing. And I'm thinking if you go forward a couple slides, no, down, other side of Route 3. Yeah, these properties here, right? This is the other side of Route 3 by the cemetery. I think them having the ability to, like, would I mind seeing, 2 families in the CB Light instead of little shops? No, I wouldn't, as a resident of East Chelmsford. So from, that perspective, I think it gives them more flexibility. However, I'm, getting tired of all the confusion and the misinformation that's going out there and the fear factor, that for the sake of getting our goal in fixing River Neck Road for the appropriate traffic, I'm willing to pull the COID off of it, knowing that it could have a detrimental effect to some of these properties. It doesn't give them as much flexibility.
Okay. I will give my opinion that I would be opposed to it. I think if we were to pull CBLT out of the SEAD applicability, it would undo a lot of the good work that we have done in the other areas that we've proposed CBLT. Middlesex Street is a perfect example.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. Maybe I misunderstood. You're saying take CBLT out of all of the COID?
All of CBLT out of SEAD.
We
Yeah.
can't do it by just not putting the overlay on this?
I mean, right now, this is the interesting thing about SEAD and BAYOD. SEAD is by district. So the way you determine where SEAD is by district. You say it's in this district, and this district. BAYOD is by map. So it's a specific location.
The SEAD is by
So,
district?
By district,
By
yeah.
under-
So if
by
there was
underlying
a, if there was a
zone.
SEAD map,
So we say it's in CBLT.
yeah.
It's in all
In the
CBLTs.
zo-
If we take
yeah,
it out of
The zoning
CBLT, it's
bylaw,
gone.
it's by district. On the zoning map, it is mapped.
Yeah.
So you'd have to make multiple, you have to make a zoning bylaw amendment,
Yeah.
and then a map amendment.
Yeah.
And then, just to remind the board, when Virginia Crocker-Timmons mentioned this, I think she had mentioned a special town meeting. The reason for that is that your legal ad for this public hearing did not include removing any properties from COID. So that would
Yeah.
require
Oh,
a
then
Yeah.
new-
I take back my
Yeah.
position then.
You're not able to do it within this.
Yeah, right.
Oh, okay, sorry, my
Right,
misunderstanding.
and just to add a finer point on that, if you recall, we sent notifications to 300 Apollo, 250 Apollo. That if they had gone in and looked at the material, they would have seen that they would have had that multifamily pathway.
Yeah,
If the board chooses to change it, that's a material change,
yeah, no.
removing something from there.
But that can be, okay, all right,
I think
It could be done in the future.
in the
Yeah.
future,
it
right?
could be
That
done in the
a s-
future. I would not support it
I
Right,
wouldn't either.
but that could be done in the future.
because it does undo a lot of the mixed use that we've envisioned for CBLT and some of these areas.
Yeah, and part of the thing to remember with Bayard is because it's by map, that's because Bayard is geographically located.
Yep.
It's not district located, it's geographically located. And so that's what makes that different. And I think to sort of have that same sort of geographical change here, applies here, doesn't apply there, then again, that gets you into the whole thing of, now you're picking and choosing and so forth and so on, and it's just not I don't, at least, and Evan, you can agree or disagree, but I don't think it reflects the way that this board has been doing zoning.
I would agree, and I think I wouldn't want to pick and choose where it applies, and I wouldn't want to wholesale remove it either, because it does allow for really nice mixed use.
Yeah.
It allows for us to get some multifamily units on the books for affordability. It is by special permit. It is not by right. Well, a few units are by right, but most of it is by special permit, and it's by applicability determination to begin with.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would be
So-
all, like, you know, I think about, when I think about multifamily, like, it's not Princeton Street, what did we just do,
Middlesex?
Middlesex.
no,
Oh.
the 9 West campus.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm not
UMass.
thinking
UMass.
that,
Right.
I'm thinking what was done at the end of Ripperneck by Turnpike, you know, those duplexes that, you know, sell for more than what my house is worth. Like, that I would be all in favor for in the CBE, like, if all those office buildings change to those, like, that would increase and make it all feel more residential for that area.
Mhm.
But again, I think there's a lot of fear factor playing into this and misinformation, and that was why I was suggesting that. But if we can't do that, then
Any other thoughts on that? Okay. Any other general comments or questions, thoughts on this in general?
If we are gonna take a look at the overlay districts in the future, I would love to have, try and figure out a way to add a cottage colony as an allowed use in the overlay districts.
It's on my list, Deirdre, for one of the next things we look at.
Can't wait till we try for definition of cottage.
like there's some really nice developments in Bedford.
All right.
Yeah.
that are
I don't
what
want to
she's
get,
talking
I don't
about.
want to get off track.
I get it. There's one over by 490.
All right, so at this point, we will open it up for public input. I will be limiting people to 5 minutes tonight.
Generous.
You said 4 earlier. No, I'm
four
not
You
kidding.
said 4.
I know.
I was gonna
Given-
ask you to propose 3, but you
I was going to
definitely
say
said
2.
Given the size of the crowd tonight, I think we can afford 5. I will ask that if people do want to come up multiple times, they give other people a chance to speak first. Evan, do we have anyone on Zoom who?
There is one person on Zoom, but she has not raised her hand.
Okay. If you could just keep an eye just to see if they wish to speak.
Comes with the computer, we're in trouble.
Hello, my name is Sung, full name Sung-Woo Kim. I live I live at 36 Monmouth Street. First I wanted to commend you guys for removing the IA. I think it makes sense in general, particularly because Monmouth Street is a residential area, and the IA overlay is remnant of the past of when a company tried to buy the entire street. So I think it generally makes sense. But I do have a problem with it being applied particularly to my house and on Monmouth. And some of the data that I'm just going to say is already presented again, but I just want to quickly reiterate a little bit. And I'm only want to pertain to Monmouth because I don't know my McFarland neighbors and other neighbors pretty much at all, but I do know my street better at least, and the people living in it. So there are 9 properties, right, in Monmouth Street. If we were to go to RB, there are only 2 properties that were conformed to the lot size in my investigation. That's 19 Monmouth, which is Sean Campbell residence, and 23 Monmouth, which is Peter Blink residence. The rest, the 7, would be non-conforming to RB.
Yeah, hold on a second. That's all of East Chelmsford, by the way. I don't think there's a proper.
Anita?
I'm talking about Monmouth. Is that considered East Chelmsford?
Well, no, I'm
Sure.
saying like there's a lot of properties in Chelmsford that were
Oh, I'm sorry,
non-conforming,
Oh, okay.
that are RB.
Okay. That are RB?
Yeah.
Okay. that's nice to know, but let me continue. Yeah, and then if we go to RC, 5 properties will be conforming, and that only leaves 4. So that's more than half that will actually conform. I have my house is kind of unique. My house is the last house on the street. One of the two last houses on the street, and unlike some of my neighbors, I abut the Apollo Drives in 2 sides, one in the back and one on the side. Others only abut Apollo Drive in the back. And parts of my house doesn't have a wooded area. There's no real cushion. The only thing that blocks a direct view from my house, my window to Apollo Drive is a large, I think like 12 feet or maybe 15 feet fence. But there's nothing in between it other than the fence. My property is also one of the smallest lot at 0.29 acres, which is approximately 12 K square feet. It ties with the 6 Monmouth Street, which is Melville, Katy and Melville. And by my calculation, right now, I have a lot coverage of about 22 square feet. So that's my living area, my garage, and a porch. I'm sorry, not living area. My first floor, because I have a single-story floor. I have a basement. Parts of my basement is finished, but if we were to just count the single-story, the base, garage, and the porch, at 22 square feet lot coverage. With RB, the max coverage I would be able to have is 1,894 square feet. So if you were to apply that, my house would be overbuilt. If we went to RC, it would be 25 square feet. So that would mean that I would have some flexibility, if I choose to extend the porch, or even, I guess, rebuild the porch to be a larger size. Just being able to add. But with RB, I would not be able to. I would have to go through a variance, which could be time-consuming, and I don't know, my neighbor could just say no for the sake of saying no, because their house is okay and mine isn't. And it's this particular inflexibility of not being able to make any addition to my house that's very concerning to me. And eventually, if I were to sell my house, I'm not selling my house tomorrow or anytime soon, but if I were to sell it, I would imagine future buyer may see that as a very negative point, because they would have to, maybe they don't even like my porch. My porch is kind of old, and they probably want to revamp it. I know I do, but I just haven't had the chance or the, financial to really invest in the porch itself. But they would be a little bit tied down, and I'm the biggest loser in this. I feel like I'm the biggest loser in this proposal. But I understand why you guys want to remove IA, and even though I'll be one of the losers, the biggest loser, I for the general most part, I think your intentions are good, so I do support it. But I would ask that if you guys want to put a blanket RB over Monmouth, can I have RC so I can literally make improvement in the future? Being the last house, I know there was some concern about duplexes, but being the last house, I don't think anyone would care. I don't plan to make duplexes. I don't plan to sell my house right now, but I don't think anyone would care if they happen to be a duplex and a 0.23 acre. It would be small as it is anyways. It wouldn't be a big house with such a small lot coverage. So I'm not sure if that's an unreasonable ask. I know that my neighbor directly in front of me, so that's the other house, the other last house on my street, he's also in favor of RC. So I'm not sure if it's an unreasonable proposal to ask, can you make our 2 houses RC? The other people, if they're fine with RB, I don't quite understand why they would be, to be honest, because of the calculation I see is it makes them very restrictive, but if they're fine with the restriction, let them have what they wish. But looking to this, I'm not a big favor of it, but only really for me personally. because what I listed here.
Okay. Mr.
Yeah.
Kim, you're at time.
Okay, that was 5 minutes? That was pretty fast. Okay.
It goes fast.
That was a lot faster than
I do have a couple of questions, if I may. First of all, I believe that if you needed to extend a nonconformity, that would be a special permit, right, Evan? Not a variance? Is that correct? Okay, so it would be a special permit, not a variance, and the requirements for a special permit are more lax than they are for a variance. The other thing too is you said you didn't want your neighbor to be able to negate that. Your neighbor would not be in a position to do that. The most your neighbor could do is to, if he was opposed to it, he could present his opposition to the ZBA. But again, it's the ZBA that would decide that. The other thing too is that you're requesting that we make your property RC, if I understand you correctly.
or the last two houses. on
Or you and Harshad. And that would create a little bit of a problem, because then people would say, well, now you're gonna zone individual properties based on what the individual property owner wants. And then we would be rightfully criticized for basically not being uniform for what's called spot zoning, which is generally acknowledged as a bad zoning practice. So you're basically asking us to do something that is not a good, is generally acknowledged overall as not being a good practice. The other thing too is if the whole street were to be RC, for example, then there are things that you need to consider what that means. I mean, you're looking at it from the perspective of what kind of dimensional flexibility can I have? But that includes also then reduced setbacks. So that means in an RC, for example, that your neighbor would be allowed to have a structure, I believe it's 12 feet from the property line for RC, as opposed to 20 feet for RB. So, I mean, talking about the distance from me to you, probably that's even less than that. That he would be able to have a structure that's 35 feet tall to your property line, and that would be your entire neighborhood. In addition to the houses would be able to be closer to the road than they are right now, if it was RC. So, I guess I want you to think about what you're asking for in terms of what either this board would need to do that, or what the impact would be on your neighborhood. And then the other question I have for you is about you, since you are abutting Apollo, you haven't mentioned about that property being rezoned from IA to CBLT. So are you in favor of it remaining IA, or are you in favor of it being rezoned to CBLT?
I don't mind CBLT, given if I have to choose.
Between CBLT and IA?
Yeah, or
You would-
even
you would
even
prefer-
even RB. I mean, I feel like RB is way too restrictive.
No, I'm talking about the Apollo properties. So
I'm
those-
sorry. Just Apollo.
Just
I'm sorry.
Apollo
Okay.
properties, yeah, the ones that you abut.
To be honest, I haven't thought
Yeah.
too much about it.
Okay.
I feel like the rest of the residents are more up to date, and
Okay.
I'm kind of trusting their
Okay.
work.
If you look at the FAQs, then you'll see that
was just gonna
there are
read
a
it.
number of uses that are currently allowed there, that include a medium distribution center. So you could have a 75,000 square foot distribution center, which, distribution centers could be 24/7.
Is that
could
warehouse?
involve-
Is that another word for warehouse?
No, it's a little bit different because warehouses don't necessarily have a high volume of traffic associated with them, but distribution centers do. There's a lot of truck traffic, semi-traffic. If you were aware of the proposal for the distribution center on River Neck Road at 199-201, that involved a large amount of truck traffic. That same, not the same size, but still a reasonably sized distribution center could today be located there. And so the question is, well, is that something that you would prefer to be able to have happen to you versus what kind of uses are allowed in CBLT? That kind of a use would not be allowed in CBLT. So that would be the other thing that I would ask you to consider.
Okay, even though we're still talking about Polo Drive, I did not fully analyze my
Yeah.
neighbor, a
Okay.
particular Polo Drive, so I don't really want to answer that question per se.
That's fine. That's
Um,
fine. Yeah. No, and I'm not asking you to answer it then. I'm just asking you to consider that. Look at the potential uses that could be there today versus the uses that could be there if it were rezoned to CBLT.
Okay. But can I answer some of the question
Sure.
that you
Yeah,
asked? You asked me.
absolutely. Yes,
you pretty much
absolutely.
essentially asked me. Spot zoning. I thought you guys were. I mean, it's nice to know that it's frowned upon, but I thought you guys were already doing that to certain people. My understanding, because I remember a couple. This isn't my first meeting, but I haven't really spoke up because I kind of assumed people would. I didn't have to get involved really. I was hoping I wouldn't have to get as involved, and that we were generally find a solution that fits for everyone, that everyone would like. Just like when we had this same proposal, that 3 years ago, people wanted to remove IA, but this is, I think, for most of you weren't sitting at your current seats, and that was a unified answer to that, which is no, no, no. And that was just like 2 or 3 years ago. So I thought it would go the same way. I didn't expect things to change. I'm not sure if you guys have different idea.
Do you
but
remember why? Because I remember why. Because
But I think-
a number of us were here when
Yeah.
that happened.
I think one idea that came to mind, one thought that came to mind that was very strong when someone suggested that value would go down, and to me that was more personal maybe, but I didn't want my property value to go down just because zoning rules.
The concern I
can't
remember
remember-
being expressed was
Mhm.
because of there still existed the potential for the large distribution center to go in. And the thing I remember being
In
said
Monmouth?
was.
Street?
No, no, the
Riverneck.
one on
Riverneck
Riverneck
Riverneck,
Road.
okay, but
Yeah.
I'm talking about like Monmouth, like.
Yes,
yeah,
so when
yeah.
we wanted to, when the board wanted to rezone Monmouth,
Mhm.
the concern that was being expressed by residents on Monmouth was they didn't want to rezone because they were potentially considering selling their homes if that distribution center on Riverneck Road went in. And so they were concerned about the resale of their
Okay, yeah, property
of their
value.
properties.
Yeah.
But that was the motivation. It wasn't because they were looking to preserve the ability to resale their land just on its own. It was because they were anticipating that they may not want to live there anymore because of
Okay.
the warehouse. And in fact, it was after that was resolved that a number of the neighbors then essentially, by all appearances, settled in with the idea of, okay, yeah, we're going to stay. We're not going to go.
Right, because it got brought down, it
Yeah.
fell through, yeah.
So that's the background on that one. But
Okay. Right. Okay, but I guess that second sentence is a little bit different. But I guess I was hoping that I wasn't really going to get as much involved because of the way things worked out. But that being said, spot zoning. I remember a couple of meetings ago too. Like some people complained a little bit harder, and they're like, "Yeah, you're already having a business. Sure, would you be okay with CLBT?" And I don't know if that got written in writing, but my understanding is you did give a business a different zoning based on the complaint. But in this case also, like, I don't feel like there might be spot zoning, but I'm not talking about just my house too. I'm talking about the end of a house. And I think that's somewhat reasonable. I live in a dead street. It's not like a continuous flow of a street. If it was, I definitely see your point of view. But the last 2 houses on the street is kind of what I'm asking. Right now, I mean, even people sitting here, or I'm not sure how many people are online, but the people who are here, Hashara and I, we both live in the end of the street, and we've been more attentive to this meeting for the most part, or at least attempting to get more involved or attempting to listen and keeping up with what is going on. So I don't know how much other people really care. I don't feel like you guys would be, if that's the definition of spot zoning, what you've done in the by giving us or giving me a particular zoning, I don't quite see the difference between what you have done in the past And that's not a direct attack. I don't want you to take that as a direct attack, but also it seems reasonable because it's also the last house. And I have the smallest yard. I mean, these zoning, residential zoning are not, I feel like they don't, right? I mean, you guys will agree, they don't fit. They generally are not meant to be applied if they don't meet the minimum lot size. But you're kind of forcing that. And I understand why, again, because the IA thing. But if you're going to do that, why not just give us something? I mean, I feel you mentioned some of the people, most people are non-conforming, but I don't know. I feel like having to sell a home that has zero flexibility. I can't speak of how non-conforming the other houses are, the ones you're referring to say they're so confined they can't make anything. Like,
So
I cannot even, if I were to add even a foot on my porch, I can't do that with IB accordingly because I'm overbuilt as it is. So,
Can I bring something up?
okay.
I just want to bring something up because I think you guys mentioned it in the FAQ. So there's a statement here that says, and I've heard it a lot during a lot of these conversations, where there's concerns that RB's larger dimensional standards can make it harder for owners of existing undersized lots to improve their homes. Recent changes to Massachusetts General Laws 40A provide additional protections for existing non-conforming residential lots and structures, making many alterations and improvements easier where applicable current dimensional requirements are met. So there's things out there to help. So for you to think that you are unable to do things to your home, I don't think that's as true as you think.
Yes, and then I brought up in another meeting, when I went and sat with the building inspector, I pulled up a whole bunch of recent applications, and we need to address how FAR is calculated. But your calculation, you included the garage. Typically, that's not included when they calculate FAR. And
Oh, no,
building
it's
ins-
not FAR. That's right. I didn't use FAR.
Okay.
I didn't
so-
use FAR. Sorry.
But
I tried not to
So
use
then-
that word. If that came out, if that was a slip, it was a total slip. I meant lot coverage. Lot coverage.
So the new state zoning law that was mentioned in the FAQ basically deems lot coverage and FAR moot at this point for purposes of non-conforming lots.
I thought FAR was removed, but not necessarily
Lot
lot.
coverage as well.
The
Right.
new Massachusetts law passed by Governor
Yes.
Hanley in
Yes,
July last
yep,
month.
Yep, for pre-existing non-conforming lots. So the original discussion way back when this initially started
Yeah.
about properties such as yours being mathematically restricted, that's no longer the case. And then for setbacks, front, side, and rear, you have dimensional flexibility based upon historical setbacks, and then additional flexibility via special permit.
What would be the historical?
It's based upon
setback here in this case?
the year the house was built.
What
So
you've done in the past.
that historical
I
table.
know what year it was built. My house, 1990.
Your house was
19
built 1990?
Yeah,
Oh, so you
yeah.
don't have historic setbacks. But you'd be able to expand mathematically, because lot coverage and FAR is no longer applicable, and then we're just dealing with setbacks, and you can go to the zoning board for a special permit to get
But the
your.
setback remains, like, meaning if I was IB, I think the setback for one of the side would be like, actually 30 feet, actually.
That's the starting point.
Yeah.
But via special permit, you can go.
Is our setback special permit or are those variants?
No. If you're an undersized lot, everything's special permit.
Everything is?
Everything's
okay.
special permit.
But even if it were a variance, the new laws have reduced the
Yes.
bars for variances too.
There's a lot more
So
protection.
if your concern is primarily flexibility to expand a single-family home, that should not be a major concern at this point,
Okay, because of the new law.
correct?
I have to take your word for it.
Yep.
You can read about
You
it
can
too,
read it.
right?
Oh,
and it's
read about
in-
it.
We've referenced it in the agenda. There's an FAQ.
If
Well,
so
you
if
can go look it up yourself. So you don't have to take our word for it. We tell you where to go and what we're referencing, so you can go read
Yes.
it yourself.
So go to the agenda online, and there's a hot link to it, to the FAQ. You can just open it and take a look.
Is there a link to that law
Yeah.
in the FAQ?
Well, reference
did-
it so you can look it
Yeah.
up.
Okay.
But I mean, there's a
We
link
can
to the
update it
FAQ.
too to add the link.
That'd be good. I think that'd be a good idea.
Katie Melville has her hand up.
Okay, we'll go on,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. We'll go online to Katie.
Katie, I think you're on mute. There you go.
Hi, I live at 6 Monmouth Street. My name is Katie Melville. Sorry I'm from Zoom tonight, but I'm home with kids. I'm here to just reiterate my support for changing Monmouth and McFarland Street to RB and the surrounding areas from IA to CBLT. And I just want to commend the planning board, how apparent it is through all these meetings, discussions, personal phone calls they've made with residents, personal emails with residents, and the FAQs that have come from the planning board, how dedicated and thoughtful they have been throughout this process. They've offered to talk one-on-one with anyone who has had issues, and they have stayed true to their goals of fixing zoning conflicts while still protecting the neighborhoods. I just want to encourage everyone here, just as was just discussed, to read the FAQs. There is a ton of good information in there. It covers a bunch of things that have been brought up before at different meetings and brought up tonight. I think it should clear up a lot of any misinformation and other things that have been going around. And I just want to reiterate my support for the zoning changes and thank the board for all of their work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I also have a quick comment, which respond just to expand on a point that Son made, which is that he felt that he and his across the street neighbor were more engaged and involved than most of the other neighbors. But we received a number of letters from people on McFarland, people on Monmouth, and people on Riverneck echoing Katie's sentiments that they are supportive of having their properties made RB, and they are supportive of the general work that's being done and has been done.
All right, any other?
Though they may not be standing up at a meeting talking.
Any other members of the public wish to speak?
Hello. I'm sure you guys are tired of hearing me in every meeting. But so, as Song mentioned, I'm the neighbor in front of him. My name's Harshad. I live on 29 Monmouth Street. So I want RC. Like, I echo a lot of the sentiment that Song made, and you guys are the technical experts. Like, I won't debate you on zoning and bylaws. Like, you know your work. And the reason I want RC is this entire street has been IA for the last 50 years, and not a single duplex has come up. So I think the fear that neighbors will suddenly expand all the way to your the boundaries of your house, like 10 feet, I think it's a bit overblown. I do want RC because it leaves my property with more flexibility. If tomorrow I decide to sell my house, it's more attractive to a potential buyer. And I think everyone, if you look at the people who are even advocating for RB, most of them, they are in support because they want to get away from IA. So they're like, yes, we want to go to a residential zoning. The RB versus RC nuance, I think we haven't vetted out as much as we've vetted out the IA versus residential. Because everyone benefits from going to a residential zone. It makes our properties be in the correct zone. But from an RB, RC standpoint, I think no one loses. If the entire street is made RC, the properties which are today not conforming to RC, those are still, they still win because they get the residential zoning. And the properties which are conforming to RC, which is mine and a couple other people, we get the flexibility to use the properties in an RC way in the future, if required. There's no plan yet, but these zonings take a long time. So the current zoning has stayed for about 50 years. And I don't desire to build anything now. I don't desire to build anything in the next 5 years, but I do want the flexibility in the future if the situation arises. So I advocate for RC, and I thank my neighbor Song for his candid thoughts, and I thank the board as well because a lot of hard work has gone into this. So thank you.
Thank you.
Sean Campbell, 19 Monmouth Street, Precinct 10 representative. So I have a prepared speech, but I just wanted to, before I get into that, I just want to touch base on that splitting of the article real quick. I think that's a good idea. In fact, I was trying, I was rushing trying to write this speech, and I was really thinking that this rezone really should have happened in different sections. I mean, and I think this is really part of the confusion, is we're discussing RC, RB, Apollo, and then we're jumping all the way over to past Route 3 and talking about Christopher's Towing. It's really, people are confused. Nobody, I believe, Anita, at the beginning, you just heard something that I learned, which was COID applies to all CBLT. I didn't know that initially, and I was really surprised about that. So it's confusing. And I wanted to touch base on where you were going with that too. Is we don't have to restrict COID from CBLT. We would just that's what the 195-113. We could just remove one feature, which is the multifamily risk associated with COID in combination of CBLT, if you chose to. Now, I had a great conversation with Chris LaValle Sunday. We covered, his opinion, and he educated me that, of the benefits that he sees with some of these properties, and I recognize that. Before I get into my speech, I just want to finish on that. But a concern I had with that was, some of these properties where zoning CBLT, our future goal is to perhaps have duplexes or some type of multifamily structure there. Shouldn't we just zone it RM or is another type of, so I think if the target, I think a concern I'm having is if the target for CBLT is light commercial and industrial, but we're applying it for, multifamily. So it's confusion. It's a little bit of confusion going on. But I won't, I heard what you said. You guys are going to debate it. We're going to think about it. But I just think that's part of, there's a lot of confusion, and I think I heard misinformation. I mean, I don't think there's really any misinformation. There's just so many different bylaws and connections. Like there could be people that get up and say, something like I thought you were spot zoning. That was kind of confused, that could be misinformation, I suppose, that just was out there. But when I say that 300 Apollo could be 200 apartments or 300 apartments, I'm calculating that by sewer flow, by size. Doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's not, I wouldn't say it's misinformation. It's just one of the possibilities. It's a possibility that it never changes. But, I think one of the concerns I had was we're doing 23 CBLTs as part of the Riverneck, part of this package. So that's 23 possibilities of one of these properties randomly spawning into a multifamily, which is highly likely. And maybe it won't be bad, but it's likely. So I will read my prepared speech. I know the board has heard a lot from me this summer, and I know you're probably sick of hearing from me. But I need to remind everybody of something very important. I didn't ask for this. I'm not a developer coming before you asking for zoning changes, more densities, or new rights. You came to me. You pulled me into this process and proposed changing zoning and rights attached to property I own. And I want to be, I want you to understand something else is why I keep showing up. I believe sitting in this room, like I did last summer, I want to remind you guys that last summer I was sitting in this room, and I was the only one here, and we were discussing a contractor yard. And I want to remind everybody that the area is important to me. That's why I was here. I was the only one, and that property was not even near mine, and I was here. I care about what happens to Chelmsford, even when it doesn't affect me. This summer, whether you intended to or not, you gave me another assignment: educate myself on the Chelmsford zoning. I had to learn zoning bylaws, state laws, overlays, maps, deeds, parcel history, old planning meetings, and town meeting records. I have written reports. I have tried to understand what every change actually means. Please understand this is a hard assignment for an ordinary homeowner. And there's been a real cost to me. This is time away from my family, my business, my life. I didn't choose to spend my summer learning zoning law. I did it because the town proposed permanently changing zoning on my property, and I felt I had no reasonable choice but to understand what you're asking town meeting to do. My family has been connected to Chelmsford for generations. My father served the town as a firefighter with 2 of his brothers. My grandfather, as I said before, he died in the line of duty, serving Chelmsford as a police officer in the blizzard of 1978. You cut me, I bleed Chelmsford. I understand what you originally set out to fix. Homes sitting in an industrial district. I'm willing to work with you to fix that conflict, but the remedy should match the problem. You set out to remove IA, both on McFarland, but on McFarland and Monmouth, you simply didn't remove the industrial conflict. You removed virtually every other layer of flexibility you could and pushed the homes towards RB. At the same time, other properties are being moved to CBLT plus COID and receiving new opportunities. You created winners and losers, and this moves so fast across so many parcels, overlays, and I still don't believe anybody has put one simple document showing us what every property can do today, what it loses, what it gains. That should have happened before the map was finalized. I also think Monmouth, McFarland, and Parlow should have been on one focused zoning effort. I mean, I went into that earlier because I think you guys see that now. We physically touch the business park. What happens on Apollo affects our neighborhood. Once this spreads across River Neck Road and past Route 3, it became too large, too complicated, and the numbers demonstrate that. Approximately 23 properties are heading towards CBLT plus COID, and 14 of them gain their first multi-pathway that they do not have today. Meanwhile, Monmouth and McFarland are being restricted because of the concerns of duplexes and density. If the policy decision, if that is the policy decision, the town meeting deserves to understand why. Protect the neighborhood, and I wanted to add that I believe if you really want to protect the neighborhood by protecting the business park. Keep good companies on Apollo. Talk to them. Understand what they need. Give technology and professional companies a reason to stay in Chelmsford. Don't wait until another building becomes vacant and then discover the redevelopment alternatives creates a conflict within a neighborhood. That protects jobs, that protects the tax base, and that protects Monmouth and River Neck. And then I have a couple questions. So the first question I had was around the 195-113. So you guys at the last meeting said you were going to debate it, think about it. You heard the concern, and it sounds like you guys have agreed that you move. Have you guys agreed? Have you did a straw poll? Any? I heard a couple members, but not all, speak on it.
Well, we all pretty much agreed that we can't do it in this
Right
current
now,
effort.
okay.
In the future, it may be a possibility, but it sounds like many members of this board do not support it. So I'm not sure that it would gain much traction if this board were to take it up.
Right. Okay. So basically, you guys have made the decision that you want these 23 parcels to have the multi-family pathway.
I want CBLT zones to have a pathway to mixed-use
Yeah.
development.
Right, okay, so these 23 plus Middlesex plus Cape Corn plus the next zoning area you head to and so on. Okay, I mean, and that's fine. You know, I just need to understand that, you know, so I know what, I mean, I don't agree with that. I mean, we have concerns about that, but I mean,
This was voted on at town meeting when this zoning was proposed. We changed the SEAD tables. It was brought up in question and answer. And the town meeting agreed that this was going to pass.
And just from a clarification, I would prefer that you didn't put words in our mouth. Like, this doesn't mean that I want another 9 West development in town, right? Like, we
I
want.
didn't say you did. I don't
Well,
even,
that's
I don't know
it
what that is.
appears to be, because you're saying that we want multifamily, we want what was voted on, and the flexibility, like it.
I don't believe I said that about you particularly. I did have a conversation with Chris, and he said that I believe he said that he would prefer multifamily versus the current use at a certain property.
I said mixed use.
Okay.
Same thing I said tonight.
Right.
Mixed use that includes
I mean, and I didn't say that I
multifamily.
didn't disagree with his assessment of that particular property. I mean, so some it makes sense. Second question I have is the methodology. Just looking for clarification so we can understand why you zone certain properties the way you did. Did you have a plan that you said, we're going to go by a certain roadway? Did you just look at what was on the ground? Did you hear owners?
I've explained this to you before. It's explained in the FAQs. We have a number of criteria that we look at when rezoning properties. Current use, potential future uses, the neighboring properties, the other properties it may impact, what the uses are in each of the zones. Those are all things that go into deciding what to zone properties in areas.
Right, okay. So another question I have is regarding the Monmouth and McFarland. We seem to have different access paths, and so I think you're putting us together. Has there ever been any thought that maybe there could be different zoning for McFarland or Monmouth? There are, we've seen, from my calculation, we've saw 2 people support RB on Monmouth. We've seen 3 vote for strong RC, including me. And we've seen probably most of the residents say they don't understand what's happening, but they're happy that we all seem to at least agree, even if we have differences, that residential would be the preferred outcome. So I think that they're satisfied with whichever pathway is selected. And I want to point out that, the state changes, they don't apply to me because I would be conforming. One negative aspect about me. And right now I'm non-conforming because I have a unique lot that is split zoned. So this does cause some hardship, and it certainly reduces when I look at my particular property and I break down pluses and minuses, there's a lot of minuses for me to go RB versus actually stay the way I am right now, which is IA, board, and COID. So I'm the top of the food chain right now, and it's not because somebody said, hey, look, you got a house here. It's because 80 years ago they designated this section, which is, where we live, which is a business district. We are literally in a business district. So you are creating an island of RB in a business district, and it's just always going to be a conflict. If you want, it's hard to say that you're in an RB. I mean, I know a lot of people live in an RB, but we don't. We live in a business district where.
So Sean, are you proposing we change you to CBLT?
Or IA?
Or
You wanna
IA?
stay?
No,
IA?
I'm not proposing that.
Okay.
I'm saying that, I'm saying, I mean, I wouldn't propose that because I know your response. But what I'm saying is that my current rights, I've put together, and I have, I'm non-conforming now being a split. And once you make me RB, I lose a lot of capabilities to my property that we've owned since the 70s.
What do you want?
RC. You know, and that was kind of,
Okay.
yes.
Can we hit the 5-minute mark yet?
Yeah, do you have any other questions?
I guess I have a question on 300 Apollo. Has anybody really compared, you know, how this will affect, so 300 Apollo is a 26.5 acre parcel, and it's 300,000 square feet. It's a massive monster. Has anybody ever actually calculated, you know, what the changes could be if somebody wanted to build that up? How many apartments? How it could affect?
And we've addressed this before. The pathway to multifamily for that property now is the same as it would be in the new zoning.
Well, it's going to carry through the, you know, as you know, it's going to carry through the COA, not the BOD.
Yes, but currently it's IA, SEOD, and BAOD. In the new zoning, it's CBLT and SEOD. It provides the same benefits.
Right.
Because the BAOD refers back to the SEOD.
Right. Okay. The last thing I'd like to finish with is a comment that I did express to all the neighbors, and I think it's important, and I think they lose track of this, that there's not, I think a lot of people are getting confused by this RC, RB. There's not a big difference, but there are some differences, and you guys did touch base on a big difference, which is the setback. So if you're on McFarland, and I want to speak to the people on McFarland on this, if you're on McFarland, you have a 75-foot lot, which means that if your setback is 20, and is it 20 or 25, Evan?
Or RB,
Yes,
side yards 25.
25. Okay, so if you have a setback of 25 and almost every single one of these homes besides one, which is the last home on McFarland, has a 75-foot lot. That means they can only build in the 25-foot section of their property. Because they have a 75-foot, they lose 25 here, 25
I'm sorry,
there.
I don't understand at all when you say 75 foot. What
That's
are you
the
talking
size
about?
of their lot size.
The width.
Yeah, the width.
75
Okay,
feet
okay,
wide.
thank you.
Yeah, they're all .30 cookie cutter lots that are 75 width.
When were they built up?
90s.
Each of them are different.
But I'm wondering, I would think most of them may go by different setbacks.
If they predate 1961, then they have historical setbacks.
I did
Okay,
look
but
into
60.
that setback early on, and I learned that I think only 2 of them were around during that time. So most of them, so when you talk about 12 feet setback to McFarland, I mean, that's a big difference between what they can really do and what they can't do. And I think, you know, even it applies to Song, you know, I educated him on that, where he's got that small lot. And that was a benefit he saw to RC. And I think, I saw a couple of emails and somebody referenced about a shed, different
John,
structure.
I really need to focus you on any other questions you have for the board.
Right, okay. Well, I'll wrap up. I thank you for your time. I was just, I think if you actually made something that said, hey, this is what you can do under here or there, it would have made it easy for people to understand, you know, what the trade-off is.
Thank you.
But thank you.
I also have a question for you, Sean. On the document for the town meeting representative brief,
Yep.
I would ask you to change that multifamily graphic, the apartment building,
Okay.
to something that is more accurate.
Can I see it?
It's the
Just want to see why it's not accurate. And I'm happy to comply with
There's a couple of reasons why it's not accurate.
Which, is it on the agenda?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
the first
trying
one is you show a 4-story building.
Which one is it? He's trying
The
to.
CBLT,
Three-story.
you can't do
I
4
got it.
A
stories.
3-story max,
So your
okay.
graphic is misleading.
Okay.
And the second thing is, your second graphic shows uses of CBLT, but your first graphic does not. Your first graphic implies that the only thing that you can have with CBLT plus SAYOT is house multifamily, is
So-
apartment-size housing.
So
That's
just-
inaccurate.
Right, so that's a 4-story, we can only do because it's COA, not board.
Because it's CBLT,
Right, so drop the top. But would that bottom be a basement? No? I mean, that kind of looks like a,
my point also is that you're only showing apartments, and apartments are only, multifamily is only one possibility of all the things that you could have with CBLT plus SAYOT.
right.
Yeah.
Can
So
I
that's
ask a
that's
question on
misleading,
that?
because people will think that the only thing that you can have with CBLT plus SAYOT is multifamily.
Can I
That's
ask,
not
can I
true.
ask you a question on that? So a question I have for the board under CBLT plus COID on that particular instance is, if you're a property owner, what is the most attractive, maybe you don't know, what would be the most attractive use case with what you can do?
It's purely speculative, and we don't make those kinds of speculations. We only go with what are the uses that can be allowed.
Yeah.
And we then see what happens when people we leave it to them and the economic factors and whatever else for them to decide that. And the other thing I want to say is that this is just one thing that I could pick out, but I'm just going to pick out one thing. And that is, you said you were the only resident that was here for the contractor yard. That's untrue. There were other residents that were here.
Okay, I
You
I
were
will
not the
correct
only
that. I
one.
will correct that, yes.
And, okay. Just wanna make
Yes,
sure.
that was an overstatement.
It was.
I was involved. There certainly were other people.
Yes, there were, and
I
they
believe
spoke.
you made a comment that I never forgot at that hearing, and you said, when they commented on the low turnout, you said it's really hard to get people into a planning board meeting to the attorney. So you did say that, and that stuck out to me. And it was, it was.
It's true, which goes to the argument that was made previously that, well, I don't see anybody from River Neck Road here. The thing is that people in favor of something tend not to show up.
Right.
It's the people who are opposed that tend to show up. The fact that we've gotten as many positive responses that we have is pretty amazing. That's
Well, I think a
actually,
lot of people proposed, were in opposition of the contractor yard. But for the average homeowner that works all day, has a family, to get up here and you guys are experts, and to stand here and go toe to toe with you in stuff that you would have to spend, I must have spent a month reading all these bylaws. It is complicated. So I don't think it's an easy task for people. I think I think residents will learn about this when they go to pull a permit, if it passes, and they'll learn about it when they see changes in their neighborhood. And I think if we broke it down into different sections, when we initially looked at rezoning Monmouth, where we decided to stay IA, it was just us, that neighborhood, and we could all sit down, and it was a lot less confusion. So this was a complicated.
And I've
one.
explained that to you before as well. The reason why we cannot split this up into multiple sections in multiple different town meetings is because the impacts for this area are unique in such that one section of River Neck impacts all of the other sections of River Neck.
I have a question for Evan on that. When's the last time the town has done a rezone of this magnitude of 96 parcels?
It's been well over 20 years.
Right.
And that's why we're in the position we are in today.
Right. So this is uncharted. We got CBLT, brand new. I've never seen this in my lifetime where somebody
So
is.
you want it to stay all the same? And you
No,
want
I think
very
it should have been
Okay.
done in sections where we.
Sean, we
Yep.
have to end it.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for your time. I saw one conflict in your numbers on your categories, and maybe you addressed it, I just didn't see it.
No.
On where it says contractor service business, and it talks about the amount of vehicles versus moderate contractor facility. And this is where it is. Kevin, if you don't mind.
No, no, no,
show
go ahead.
in between these two.
One says 5, the other one starts at 5,
They
yeah.
both start at 5.
One ends at 5 and one
ends and one
starts.
starts.
Okay,
Oh,
So
yeah.
I just wanted to let you know,
thank you.
I didn't know which way you were gonna play it. Is it 1 to 5, 6 through 15 or something, or,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
just something to clear up, that's all. Not a
Thank you.
big deal. Second, this is kind of a comment, but it's not directed at any one. It's directed generally on that, how this has been going on as a process. My understanding is this is a public input session, and it often sounds like it's becoming either a debate or, I guess, I want to be nice, it becomes debated, and it becomes a restatement of positions. And respectfully, utmost respect, I'm just saying, on these nights where the people of the public comes out to comment, respect, I don't think it's supposed to be a give and take like this. I think it's just a chance for them to say, this is what I feel, or this is what I want. And you just take it and you guys will debate it amongst yourselves.
I actually disagree with that.
Well,
I am going to debate that with you.
that public input is not debate. It's just add in information for you to consider. I don't want to debate any of you on these particular topics. It's
So
just,
let me explain my approach to these, specifically these zoning meetings. I want this to be a dialogue. I don't want one-way conversations for the public to speak at the board and to have no idea if the board's understanding what they're saying, if they're accepting what they're saying, if they're even processing what they're saying. So that is one of the things that I vowed to change when I came on the planning board. I want to know that the planning board is considering my opinions, is looking at the facts, is correcting me if I'm wrong, and to have that discussion. And that's how I lead these public hearings. It is not for me to just take in information and then do what we wish. That is not how I run public meetings. So,
okay, I'm just,
thank
it's a
you.
disagreement. It's okay.
Thank you.
Other point of that is, I do think it's important in that dialogue, as you say. If I make a comment and you have a question about it, I'm all for that. I'm just not going to want to engage on a one-on-one situation. That was my only point. Again,
No, and well
just,
taken, because I'm
just-
probably the one that
just
probably
generic.
could
That's-
stand best.
you know, and
better
I
at,
appreciate
so
your
thank you.
viewpoints, Chris. Evan, do you mind putting up the slide where it shows the Route 3 CBLT versus the west versus east?
Yeah.
Make it a conflict when possible, right? That's what attorneys do. So, I heard the comments, I do appreciate. I understand a lot of this is, what's generating this is what could happen here and here, and I get that, totally understand that. I'm not debating anything about this at all. I get the reasons for it. When I go to the other side.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, right, Riverneck, yeah. So, I don't see the same issue. The only issue I see are dramatically where my clients are concerned are here and here. And this being public and this being public. I didn't understand why we could not perhaps keep the IA in this region for some of these that abut public and that don't abut residential. I might understand this a little bit more for being CBLT because it's closer more to residences here. This not so, my clients. Second reason, I did hear the comment, I think it was Joel, and if I'm wrong, I'm not trying to quote you, I thought you were the one that said it. You were concerned about the word impacts, the traffic, heavy trucks going along all of Riverneck Road. I don't know if it was, which one it was, so, and I do appreciate that, but I guess, right, I'm not aware of any conflicts that have come up for the current uses of these properties as they've been with excessive heavy use. And so I'm not sure that the magnitude of the change is very harmful to my clients, they believe, to the values of their property. That's just their position. And I'm not sure you need to go that far with respect to these, leaving these as IA. And I just ask that you, amongst yourselves, consider that.
Can I ask you a question? Are they IA uses right now?
Yeah.
So Mr. Walsh is an IA use?
He's all IA, this is all IA.
No, zoned IA, but
Oh,
his use.
His use is residential, he has two
Okay.
residences,
And
and,
then the
Nope,
kin,
it's
oh,
more
sorry,
to it,
oh, okay,
sorry.
okay.
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead, please.
A lot of this area is rented out, he basically stores people that have, not so much trailers, but mobile homes.
RVs.
Yeah, right, the
RVs,
RVs,
thank
yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Correct term, thank you.
Yep.
Quite a few of them, and they've done that for decades.
Yep.
So there's quite a bit there, and they make quite a bit of income from it. So that's why they don't want this being changed at all. And the client here has a variety of reasons for not wanting it to be changed. But it is being used now, I would say, more IA than residential, even today. Yes, it's storage, they're not moving it
Yeah,
day to day, but it's certainly there.
but it would be ground.
But that's not, is having the number of vehicles an IA use?
Well,
The-
I'm
Is
sorry.
The RV component, my understanding is that's a use variance. And use variances, at the time, were allowed, they're no longer allowed.
Right,
According to council, that becomes a pre-existing non-conforming use.
but it's not an industrial use, is it?
Never classified it.
That's the problem.
Okay, so it's not classified, okay.
I mean,
Now-
never been asked to classify it.
Right.
That's
and
the
th-
problem, Joel. It has
and then
never
the-
been classified.
And then the Kinney, I assume it's the Kinney.
Yes.
Warehouse. My understanding is her use right now is not an industrial use.
I'm not sure if she's renting out to contractor yards or not. I don't know the exact makeup of each and every tenant. I don't know, so I can't give you an answer.
Okay.
I'll find out for you, though.
Okay, yeah.
If it
because
matters to you.
Because you mentioned that the uses aren't generating any traffic. And so that led me to think, okay, yeah, but they're not IA uses. So there, as an IA, a zoned IA, there could be something that goes in there that could generate that traffic.
I'm not sure how many vehicles are being used for what purposes, but I will get you an answer.
Okay.
I think that's a really good question.
Okay, thank you.
And the same thing, but with here, I know it's mostly storage and it's not classified, which is what my client's biggest concern is, because it's a great value right now.
But
And
wouldn't
under
that be
your
grandfathered in anyways, as,
Yeah, he may be, but
I thought that goes,
It'd be pre-existing non-conforming, right?
right, isn't that automatically grandfathered as long
It
as it
would run,
doesn't?
it would run with the land.
it was
Yeah, I
run
was
with the
gonna
land.
say.
And the question, because it's not exactly classified, is there a limitation on how many, I don't believe there are, how many, I'll call it units he's allowed to store here. And then under your bylaw, it's gonna get very much measured, 1 to 5, 6 to 15, et cetera.
Well-
Depending on how you, if it comes to CBLT.
That's the contractor
Yeah,
yard.
but I think
That's not
that wouldn't
really-
be a contractor
It
yard.
wouldn't meet the definition of a contractor yard, I don't believe.
Yeah, storing RVs, I don't think would qualify.
It'd still be.
I'm not sure how it's gonna be classified,
Who knows?
respectfully.
And even
sorry.
if it is, that contractor yard applies to CBLT and/or IA. That's a definition regardless of the zone.
I think it has to do with the number of vehicle issues, but
Okay.
in any event, all I'm asking for you to consider, and no more, then I'm getting out of here for your sake, is reconsidering zoning for here, because I think it's not spot zoning, because it's such a differential. I think it's a logical thing versus what you were talking about earlier. If I was advocating for these folks, I might have a different argument, but I'm not. I care about here. And I just asked you to think about it.
Okay.
Can I ask you, Mr. Hauser?
Yes, doctor.
I would. Someone asked, but I don't think it actually got answered. I would like to know if there's any IA uses currently ongoing as distinct from CBLT uses.
I'm gonna get you a breakout of that.
Okay, perfect, thanks.
That's what Joel asked, I think. So
Yes.
I agree with you.
I just want to make,
Yeah, I got
I just want to make sure.
Thanks, Deirdre. No, these are good questions, and I think worthy of answers, so I'll try to get them to you as quickly as we can. And then the last comment, it's not specific to River Neck Road. It is specific as to other clients that have contacted me about potential IA zoning changes that they see forthcoming down their pike. And I'm particularly thinking of Groton Road. Mr. Loisel's property and Mr. Rivard's property.
Where's that?
They are currently IA zoned, but they will be affected by your definitions of contractor yards and amount of vehicles outside and inside. So they just wanted to state, and they asked me to state for them tonight, they are really opposed to your definitions as you're proposing and the limitations you're imposing. I'm just putting it on the record for them.
Can I ask you a question?
Mr.
about
Rivard
that?
was here earlier.
Yeah.
I asked him why he was here. He alluded to rezoning. I asked him if it was specific to contractor yards. He said yes, but his current use is not a contractor yard.
I know, it's the storage of
It's something
of
else.
trucks.
Yes.
primarily
And then
UPS
he mentioned,
trucks.
he also mentioned Loisel, was it?
Yes, Mr. Loisel.
I asked if he was doing contracting. He said, no, he does retail sales of,
In part.
yeah.
He-
So,
Mr.
so I think the message here and the lesson learned is the contractor regulation is not regulating all trucks for all uses.
Correct.
It's very specific.
And I get that.
Yeah.
I think the word creep was used earlier. They're just preempting what they can see. And it's just something for you to consider. No
No,
more.
it's a good point.
Yeah.
Thank
I-
you. Gives you another, give
That's
us another,
that's an area that we might want to look at defining in the future.
or make it.
It might be, and in that instance, just as you know, because you guys, I think you approved the plans with, directly in front of his property at 7 Doris are one or two of the duplexes. So, and it's always been said that the impact on residences, the impact. In that case, that's an impact that, the residents came in knowing what's there.
Yeah.
So that balance of that argument
Yep.
doesn't maybe apply equally as strong as Kate's Corner.
Yep.
So just something, again, to think about. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I have a question more than a viewpoint.
Yes.
So the question is, well, I was going through some property bylaws, and there's a property bylaw in 19543, which talks about landscaped green strip, and basically it says, if you're residential and there's a IA or CBLT, there has to be like 30 or 40 feet of green buffer zone. I was wondering if I become RC or RB, can I ask my Apollo Drive neighbor to put in green buffers?
No.
Because like I said, the only thing, I have two sides, and there's a portion of the side where it's just a fence. There's no green buffer.
No, you would not be able to.
Not be
I
able
believe that's pre-existing
Pre-existing.
non-conforming, and it wouldn't change unless they come before us with a project.
Like a new project.
Yeah.
Right.
So nothing's forced, but he could reach out to the owner of the property if he wanted to.
He could.
You could
You
ask.
always
but
reach
they're
out
not
to the owner of the
required
property and
by
ask
law.
Right.
that.
No, they're
Not
not.
required, but they could ask.
But you could always reach
Yeah.
out to
Well,
the
I'm
owner
just
of the
saying
property
maybe-
and ask
Stopping
them.
you
think
from
about
reaching
it.
out and
Now.
asking. You never know
And
what you
letting
get.
them know that my zone is RB and this property bylaw. Of course, you don't have
Because of
to.
this that does that, but you could tell them about your issue and ask.
Well, I guess it's not an issue. It just looks nice.
No, but
Yeah.
there's nothing, I mean, if you reach out to the property owner and ask them for something, you might be surprised.
They like to keep their neighbors happy sometimes. So.
Yeah,
Yes.
so if it's bothering you, I would reach out to them.
Okay. But if they were making a new project, it would be enforced.
If there
Right.
is a new build.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's a new build, yes.
Okay, or they were like like a huge renovation, like bringing
yeah,
down the
depending
building.
Maybe parking lot changes, things
Parking
like
lot
Certain
that.
things
New
could trigger
building.
it.
Generate new building. Okay. All right. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we have wrapped up the public hearing for tonight. Like I said, I would like to close the public hearing portion of this, and then we will discuss the remaining items next week or next
good.
meeting, and
You
vote.
close
I'm gonna say, yeah, because
on the,
Oh,
Attorney
yeah,
General's
that's
office.
right.
Counselor to get some
He's bringing
information
more
for
info.
us.
All
So we
right.
can't close on it.
you can
Well,
close
now,
some of
is
them.
this considered multiple public hearings, or are we doing all the zoning under one public hearing?
It was one legal ad, but you've handled it as separate articles.
Because what I'm thinking is we could close public hearings on all but the River Neck.
I would leave it
Because
open.
we have that other business with the,
We can just close them early and then vote on them next week.
Yeah, let's just do them all at once next week.
okay, sounds good.
I do want to make it clear, and in the agenda too, that we are not taking public comment next meeting.
Yeah.
So do you have to do anything to not take public comment next
Yeah,
time?
the second we get into here, we close the public hearing.
I also want to, Evan, if you can make a note of that on the next agenda, that we will not be taking
Yeah,
public input.
That's excellent. Yeah, the chair has, public comment is entirely up to the discretion of the chair.
I like it, I just didn't know it.
Because we asked
That's-
Hauser to get
that's
us
the law.
information, we
Well,
can't
sometimes I hear you
close
have to
it.
do different
Yeah,
things.
the law.
I didn't
The
know
only
something
reason
like
why
that.
we're going to keep it open is for that additional information on the,
Send by
use.
hopefully email, right?
yeah. Evan, if you could reach out to him to make sure we get it before the meeting. All right, so a motion to continue that public hearing to next meeting.
I move that we continue the public hearing on the zoning articles until our next meeting, which I believe was the 9th.
The 9th.
Yep.
Second?
Motion by Mike, second by John. Deirdre,
Aye.
Marcy,
Aye.
Anita,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Joel, Mike,
Aye.
and I am an aye. That is unanimous. What is the timing for this to get to the select board?
So September 14th is the next select board meeting, and at that time, they'll be signing the warrant, because I've presented them with the first draft and the second draft, and then incoming town manager McGee will then present them on the 14th with
So we
the,
need to wrap it up.
yeah.
We need to close
Yeah.
it next meeting,
I mean,
and...
You're in good shape, because council's reviewed the first draft.
Yeah.
I've sent him the second draft, and there shouldn't be too many changes between a second and third draft.
Yeah, and then I'll talk with Joel and Evan about the order and priority. I will actually be at town meeting for both nights. My plans have changed,
You.
so.
Ooh.
The concert that we were going to was postponed. The singer had throat surgery,
Oh,
so it's postponed a year.
Jeez.
It's actually going to be 3 years from the time we've bought the tickets.
Wow.
So hopefully I can go next year.
Hopefully it's worth the wait.
Town meeting will be way more fun.
Yeah, I doubt it.
Do you have the dates for town meeting, by the way?
Yeah, I'm gonna be out of the country.
October
We
9th.
need everybody, every.
All right, moving on.
Okay, I'm out.
For the record, Joel does have to leave early.
Bye, Joel.
Aye.
All right, manage growth
There's
strategy.
been no action there. We haven't had another meeting since, so.
Okay.
We're just, stands where it stands.
Okay. No changes on
Zoning article
the
updates.
versions. Evan, Community Director's Report.
Thank you. Two quick updates. One is posted to the agenda. The Attorney General has reviewed and approved all of the zoning-related articles from spring town meeting. I will be working with the DPW GIS division to provide the zoning map updates. That includes last town meeting for Middlesex Street, which covers this. The zoning bylaws are all up to date. I believe I distributed new bylaws to you last meeting. Some of you may not have been here, so we have a couple others in the bin. Second update is this building is scheduled to have an elevator project, which means that all of the meeting rooms on the third floor, including 204, will not be accessible. That work is scheduled to take place between December and March through April. We have already secured the school administrative building for all planning board, Concom, and ZBA meetings. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Liaison updates.
Nothing here.
Anyone?
Nothing here.
No meeting.
Nothing.
All right.
I didn't even know there was an elevator in town hall.
Concom had a
Way
meeting.
at the end of the hall.
I'm gonna say it's at the other end. I was using it all the time when I was coming.
Concom had a meeting last night. It was almost a record meeting, brief. All of the public hearings were continued. I think they had 3 or 4 of them that were all continued. So nothing there.
I do have one additional item. For your September 23rd meeting, you'll likely have an opening of a hearing for the 265 Chelmsford Street Mall property. It's not actually 265, it's the other properties where the single-family home is located. And based upon the positive applicability from this evening, my expectations is that 24 Maple Street will also be submitting within the next day or two. So those 2 new public hearings will likely open on the 23rd.
Okay. Luckily, we'll be done the zoning by then. So hopefully shorter meetings. All right, minutes. Has everyone looked at the June 24th?
Yeah, I just have a couple of minor corrections just on, and I can send these to Becky, just the bottom of page 2, the conservation agent's name is, it's just a typo, I can get that to her. And then Riverneck is like 2 words, so I can just ask her to please change that to make it 1 word.
Okay.
That's all I could see.
So I will accept a motion with, to accept the meeting minutes with those changes.
Motion to accept the meeting minutes of 6:24 as corrected.
Second.
Motion by Mike, second by Anita. Deirdre,
Aye.
Saritha.
Aye.
Marcy,
Aye.
Anita,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
I am an aye, and Joel is absent. So that is unanimous, and I will accept a meeting to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Motion by Mike,
Second.
second by Marcy. Deirdre,
Aye.
All in favor, yeah.
Saritha,
Aye.
Marcy,
Aye.
Anita,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Mike,
Can't we just do this by acclamation?
We
That is a way
cannot.
to do it.
I think we can do that.
And-
Yeah, we did just not.
Everybody
on Zoom.
stands up and says.
and I am an aye. Unanimous. Good night, everyone.